Chapter 2921, Half Right, Half Wrong. After killing the horned beast, Lin Moyu believed that the great Tao would surely bestow a reward, and it would be a selectable one. His choice would naturally be to condense Tao patterns. As for the senior who was now just a heart, Lin Moyu wondered what he would choose. Lin Moyu didn't know if he was already dead or still alive. If he was dead, he might reincarnate. If he was still alive, he might seek resurrection. The heart's tone remained calm. My choice is simple. I will find a way to resurrect, although it's difficult, there's still a chance. Lin Moyu thought, as expected, this senior isn't dead yet, but it seems resurrection won't be easy for him. The heart asked, your reward should be to condense Tao patterns, right? Lin Moyu nodded, yes, I want to condense Tao patterns. The heart said, I don't know how many Tao patterns you've condensed, but it must be quite a few. Using the great Tao's reward to condense Tao patterns is indeed a good method. Tao patterns are the foundation of everything, a principle many Tao sovereigns understand. It's just a pity that not many can perfectly condense Tao patterns, and in the end, they give up. Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback, please explain further. The heart said, it's simple. Those genius Tao sovereigns have many Tao patterns, and eventually, the number can reach dozens. But by then, the speed of condensing Tao patterns will significantly slow down, and condensing one Tao pattern might take thousands of years. Those proud genius Tao sovereigns, seeing others surpass them in realm, would they be willing? So, before he could finish, the heavenly Tao reward suddenly descended. The heart had sealed the horned beast for countless years and received a substantial reward. The heart emitted a bright light from the great Tao reward, and then an absolutely powerful force burst from it. Lin Moyu was pushed back by this force, retreating tens of thousands of meters. Then he saw a shocking scene. Outside the heart, a huge body appeared. It was a whale, an enormous whale. This was the heart's former body, manifested by the great Tao reward. What shocked Lin Moyu wasn't its size but the fact that he had seen it before. During the Boundary Sea Order, he had seen this whale, exactly the same. However, the whale he saw back then seemed even larger than the one before him now. Lin Moyu roughly understood what the king of the Boundary Sea was trying to do. Since the Boundary Sea Order, the king of the Boundary Sea had been plotting to resurrect this whale. As Lin Moyu pondered, his great Tao reward also descended. Lin Moyu wasted no time and immediately began condensing Tao patterns. With the help of the great Tao reward, the 26th Tao pattern quickly began to take shape. 6 great Taos manifested, pouring the vast power of the great Tao into Lin Moyu's soul like a waterfall. Countless insights exploded in his soul for Lin Moyu to absorb and digest. Lin Moyu exerted all his strength to absorb these insights and transform them into his own power. In just 10 minutes, the 26th Tao pattern was fully formed. Immediately, the outline of the 27th Tao pattern appeared. Lin Moyu continued to madly absorb the great Tao insights, digesting them and condensing Tao patterns. This cultivation speed was far faster than condensing Tao patterns on his own. 10 minutes compared to hundreds of years was incomparable. The speed of condensing Tao patterns was related to comprehension, the number of great Taos, the number of Tao patterns, and the strength of one's fortune. Lin Moyu began to understand that those genius Tao sovereigns of ancient times might have added 7 or 8 Tao patterns at each realm. By the time they reached the 7th realm of Tao sovereign, the number of Tao patterns would have increased to dozens. At that time, the speed of condensation would have significantly slowed, and seeing others surpassing them in realm, many Tao sovereigns would be unable to accept it, so they would abandon condensing enough Tao patterns to advance in realm. Perhaps in their eyes, a few thousand Tao patterns were enough. But such a choice wasn't necessarily correct. The heart's earlier words were incomplete, and he could ask again later. 15 minutes later, the 28th Tao pattern was successfully condensed. Lin Moyu found that the speed of condensing Tao patterns was slower than expected. He couldn't condense one every few minutes as before. But now, he couldn't worry about anything else, only focus on condensing Tao patterns and trying to condense as many as possible. 20 minutes later, the 29th Tao pattern took shape. With the help of the great Tao reward, the 30th and 31st Tao patterns also took shape. Lin Moyu entered the Tao sovereign first realm with 6 great Taos and 18 Tao patterns. To enter the Tao sovereign second realm perfectly, he needed to condense 18 more Tao patterns, totaling 36. If Lin Moyu had to do it himself, it would take 1 or 2,000 years to succeed. This time, with the help of the great Tao reward, Lin Moyu condensed the 35th Tao pattern in just a few hours. As the great Tao reward faded, the 36th Tao pattern was more than halfway condensed. Without the great Tao reward, Lin Moyu would only need 100 years to successfully condense this Tao pattern. The great Tao reward saved him at least 2,000 years. Lin Moyu couldn't help but smile, knowing he had chosen the right path. If he didn't want to take the slow route, he had to use the great Tao reward. He would seek out extraterrestrial gods to obtain great Tao rewards and use them for cultivation. Other Tao sovereigns couldn't handle extraterrestrial gods or even approach them, but he could. The Calamity Scepter could help him kill one extraterrestrial god after another. As the great Tao reward faded, Lin Moyu slowly opened his eyes. The heart still floated before him. "You're awake. It seems your Tao pattern condensation went smoothly." Lin Moyu said, "The great Tao reward is amazing, it saved me a lot of time." The heart chuckled, "Indeed, it's amazing. I also have a chance to resurrect, thanks to you. Let's go, we should leave. We can talk as we go." The heart flew into the sky, entering the thick fog. The dense fog covering the sky was instantly absorbed by the heart like a vortex. The world became clear, and Lin Moyu saw the vast, flat, and cracked mountain range, stretching for millions of miles like a continent. The heart flew towards the way they came, continuing, "Those genius Tao sovereigns couldn't stand being surpassed, so they gave up their own Tao and entered the great Tao realm imperfectly. They thought they would have endless time to condense Tao patterns and make up for their shortcomings in the great Tao realm. This idea was half right and half wrong. Although it's true that in the great Tao realm, you can go back and condense Tao patterns, those Tao patterns are different from those in the Tao sovereign realm. The imperfection of the foundation cannot be remedied unless there's some heaven-defying opportunity." Lin Moyu understood the heart's words, telling him not to rush and to ensure a solid foundation for his future path. Lin Moyu respectfully bowed to the heart, "Thank you for your guidance, Senior. I will proceed step by step." Chapter 2922, 2922. Chapter 2922, You don't seem very happy. During his conversation with the heart, Lin Moyu learned some hidden secrets. As he suspected, the heart's true form was a whale, known as the Great Tao Whale. It had once reached the Great Tao realm, and not just any ordinary Great Tao realm, but had advanced quite far within it. Later, it encountered an extraterrestrial god, a very powerful one with a mount that was equally fierce. In a great battle, the Great Tao Whale killed the extraterrestrial god but was severely injured. Ultimately, it ended up in a stalemate with the extraterrestrial god's mount. Its body shattered, and one of its dragon bones transformed into this special space. The mountains and land Lin Moyu saw were all formed from the dragon bone. The heart was protected by the dragon clan and sank into the earth. It wasn't truly dead, but its soul was injured, relying on its heart to survive in this special space. Because the extraterrestrial god's mount hadn't been eliminated, the battle wasn't over. The Great Tao doesn't allow retreat, so it had no choice. It knew that its soul residing in the heart wasn't a long-term solution and that it would eventually die. Fortunately, it killed the extraterrestrial god and received a reward. That reward left a possibility for resurrection. This time, it received another reward, increasing the likelihood of resurrection. Perhaps, many years from now, I can truly be resurrected. Lin Xiaoyu, it's thanks to you that I have the chance to be resurrected. I'll remember this kindness. The Great Tao Whale didn't make any promises, but Lin Moyu knew that its words might carry more weight than a promise. Kindness can be light or heavy, but judging by its demeanor, this kindness wasn't light. This journey, though dangerous, ended well. Not only did Lin Moyu receive the Great Tao reward, but he could also expect benefits from the King of the Boundary Sea. Lin Moyu already knew what he wanted. After crossing millions of miles, they finally returned to the exit. Two vortices spun in the air, one clockwise and one counterclockwise, in opposite directions. One was the entrance, the other the exit. The two vortices intersected at a point, creating a strong tearing force. If one couldn't withstand the tearing force, they couldn't enter or exit and would die midway. Most people sent by the King of the Boundary Sea died halfway, with only a few managing to enter. Now, the ground was littered with corpses. The Great Tao Whale sighed. I originally left these two vortices as a lifeline for myself, but instead, they caused their deaths. The land was formed from the Great Tao Whale's dragon bone, so it knew this well. As a member of the Sea tribe, it felt heartache for the fallen Tao sovereigns but was helpless. To seal the horned beast, it couldn't move an inch and didn't know how many years had passed. Lin Moyu said, everything has two sides. You were ultimately saved, so their deaths weren't meaningless. The great Tao whale sighed again, filled with reluctance. I will take them back and give them a proper burial. As it spoke, the ground shook. The mountains contracted, the cracks disappeared, and Lin Moyu saw a giant bone reforming. This bone coiled like a dragon on the ground, the dragon bone of the great Tao whale. The great Tao whale said, this time, with the great Tao reward, I will restore the dragon bone. Once it's restored, I will have the possibility of resurrection. Lin Moyu said, I once saw your body in a space, probably created by the king of the Boundary Sea. The great Tao whale chuckled, that little black is quite thoughtful. It called him Little Black, indicating a good relationship with the king of the Boundary Sea. As the dragon bone continued to contract, the ground shook incessantly, needing more time. Lin Moyu asked, before I came in, the king of the Boundary Sea mentioned a problem at the bottom of the Boundary Sea. Do you know what it is? The great Tao whale said, what else could it be? Those guys want to break the seal. If you have a chance, you might find something you need at the bottom. Lin Moyu's eyes lit up. Something he needed? Are you saying there are extraterrestrial? The great Tao whale nodded, you're not wrong, but with your current strength, it's not suitable. You need to be stronger. Lin Moyu nodded, indicating he understood. With his current strength, encountering an extraterrestrial god or an unrestricted divine pet would be too much to handle. If he were to go, it would be after reaching the 7th realm of Tao Sovereign. Lin Moyu learned about the situation at the bottom of the Boundary Sea from the great Tao whale. Coupled with his own knowledge, he made various speculations. He suspected that the 9 continents of old had become the current 4 continents. Where did the 5 continents go? A possibility emerged in his mind. Could the 5 continents have sunk during the Great War? Sinking to the bottom of the Boundary Sea, bringing the battlefield there as well. At the same time, a powerful force sealed the bottom of the Boundary Sea. There are extraterrestrial gods and divine pets at the bottom, trying to break the seal and rise. But the king of the Boundary Sea guards there, preventing them from coming up. As the dragon bone's contraction neared its end, Lin Moyu saw the surrounding space collapsing. The great Tao whale seemed to guess some of Lin Moyu's thoughts. If you ever go there, be very careful. For beings of the origin continent, it's a forbidden zone. Lin Moyu nodded, thank you for the warning, senior. I understand. The dragon bone fully contracted, stretching tens of thousands of meters, like a giant dragon twisting in space. Next, the dragon bone flew into the heart, which seemed to have a vast space to accommodate the enormous dragon bone. Once united with the dragon bone, the heart's beating became more vigorous. A light flew from the heart, enveloping Lin Moyu, and entered the vortex. Unlike when he came, Lin Moyu didn't spin out, nor was he subjected to tearing forces. Under the great Tao whale's control, he enjoyed a high-class treatment. The departure was smooth, and in the blink of an eye, he passed through the vortex and returned. When his vision cleared, Lin Moyu had re-entered the Boundary Sea. Immense pressure came from all directions, but for Lin Moyu, the Boundary Sea's pressure was nothing. Marshal Zhang was still there, his huge eyes staring unblinkingly at him. To be precise, they weren't staring at him, but at the heart beside him. You succeeded. Marshal Zhang's voice was full of disbelief. Not only his voice but also his eyes showed disbelief. Before Lin Moyu could speak, the great Tao whale's voice suddenly sounded, you don't seem very happy. As it spoke, the heart thumped, and a terrifying pressure swept through, instantly overturning the depths of the Boundary Sea. With each heartbeat, the great Tao whale took form, its terrifying power forcing Marshal Zhang to retreat uncontrollably. Lin Moyu then realized that this was the great Tao realm. The great Tao whale, who had been speaking politely with him, was actually a terrifying great Tao realm powerhouse, far beyond what Marshal Zhang could compare to. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderclap exploded in the depths of the Boundary Sea. Chapter 2923, 2923. Chapter 2923, what's this about requests? Don't be so formal. The thunderclap startled everyone awake. Lin Moyu felt the terrifying power of the great Tao within the thunder. This isn't ordinary thunder. With the thunderclap, the great Tao whale immediately retracted all its power and murmured, there are so many restrictions. I understand, I won't stay long, I'll return soon. Then he said to Lin Moyu, existences of the great Tao realm cannot linger in the origin continent. Although it was a simple explanation, it already showed that his attitude towards Lin Moyu was completely different from others. Besides the kindness Lin Moyu had shown him, he already regarded Lin Moyu as one of his own. In his eyes, Lin Moyu would eventually become a great Dao realm powerhouse, and not just any ordinary great Dao realm powerhouse. As for someone like Marshal Zhang, although his realm was high now, he wasn't really taken seriously. Marshal Zhang finally woke up with the thunderclap and swam back to the great Dao whale, speaking respectfully, "Greetings, whale elder, congratulations on your return." The great Dao whale nodded, "Where's little Blackie?" Marshal Zhang replied, "The great king." Before he could finish, the great Dao whale interrupted, "Little Blackie is here." Lin Moyu also sensed a powerful aura approaching rapidly. Then he saw a black whale swimming quickly from the depths of the sea. The black whale looked quite similar to the great Dao whale, but not as large, only about 2,000 meters long. Lin Moyu knew this was the king of the Boundary Sea, also known as Little Blackie by the great Dao whale. It was Lin Moyu's first time seeing the king of the Boundary Sea, and from him, Lin Moyu sensed the aura of the great Dao realm. Not a Dao sovereign, but a true great Dao realm. As the king of the Boundary Sea swam, it was as if a great Dao swam with him. He seemed to merge with the great Dao, embodying it. Lin Moyu found it strange why the king of the Boundary Sea, also a great Dao realm, could stay in the origin continent, while the great Dao whale could not. It was very strange. The king of the Boundary Sea rushed over at the fastest speed, almost colliding with the great Dao whale before stopping abruptly, then exclaimed excitedly, "Whale elder, you're still alive." The great Dao whale's voice was low, "What, did you want me dead?" It seemed that the great Dao whale wasn't too polite to anyone other than Lin Moyu, always maintaining the dignity of a great Dao realm powerhouse. The king of the Boundary Sea immediately shouted, "Of course not, Whale Elder's survival makes little Blackie happier than anyone." His voice was extremely excited. If he were human, he might have cried. The great Dao whale said, all right, you're how old now? Still like a child. I heard you prepared a body for me. Bring it out." Without saying a word, the king of the Boundary Sea brought out a giant whale's body. The whale's body was quite large, even larger than the great Dao whale. The body emitted a similar aura to the great Dao realm, but Lin Moyu felt it wasn't quite the same. "Is this it?" The great Dao whale sounded slightly disdainful. The king of the Boundary Sea said, "Your flesh and blood scattered in the Boundary Sea, and it took countless years to find even a part of it." The great Dao whale's tone softened, "You've done well, I appreciate your effort." The king of the Boundary Sea, like a praised child, became excited again, showing none of his usual demeanor. Even as the noble king of the Boundary Sea, ruling the vast Boundary Sea, he still acted like a child in front of a true elder. Lin Moyu could clearly see that the relationship between the great Dao whale and the king of the Boundary Sea was not simple. The great Dao whale's heart thumped, then it merged its manifested body with the body prepared by the king of the Boundary Sea. In an instant, the great Dao whale's body rapidly shrank, expelling countless impurities. Moments later, the great Dao whale's body was less than 100 meters long. Though smaller, its aura was stronger than before. All useless impurities had been refined and expelled, leaving only the essence. The great Dao whale said, "I'll be going back soon. How's your task going?" The king of the Boundary Sea replied, "It's more than halfway done, probably another 10,000 years or so." The great Dao whale nodded, 10,000 years isn't long. By then, I should be mostly recovered. I'll wait for you in the great Dao. The king of the Boundary Sea immediately said, "When I return, I'll come to hear Whale Elder's teachings again." The great Dao whale suddenly looked at Lin Moyu, "Little friend, when you enter the great Dao realm, I will personally welcome you." Lin Moyu clasped his fists, "Safe travels, elder." The great Dao whale said softly, "Before I leave, I'll take another look at the sea floor and give you a hand." Joy filled the king of the Boundary Sea's eyes, "Thank you, whale elder." The great Dao whale snorted lightly and rushed towards the depths of the Boundary Sea. It was only then that Lin Moyu noticed the king of the Boundary Sea had wounds on him. The king of the Boundary Sea was injured, likely by the extraterrestrial gods at the bottom of the Boundary Sea. No wonder Whale Elder said he'd help before leaving. He probably intended to suppress the extraterrestrial gods there. Whale Elder couldn't stay long in the origin continent, and if he acted, he would have to return quickly. He intended to seize the last opportunity to act and resolve some issues. Moments later, the Boundary Sea shook violently, followed by thunderclaps in the sky. Terrifying great Tao power descended from the sky, reaching the bottom of the boundary sea. Lin Moyu felt as if he were being suppressed by invisible giant hands, unable to move. This was the power of the great Tao, forceful and mighty. After several minutes, the great Tao power finally receded. The king of the boundary sea exhaled deeply, releasing countless bubbles from his back. Whale Elder has returned. Lin Moyu took out a pearl. This records everything that happened in the space. The king of the boundary sea took the pearl but didn't immediately check it. Instead, he said, "Thank you, Lin Xiaoyu, for saving Whale Elder. If you have any requests, just ask. As long as I have it, there's no need to be shy." Whale Elder was so polite to Lin Moyu, so the king of the boundary sea followed suit, treating Lin Moyu with great courtesy. He knew very well that as long as Lin Moyu didn't fall, he would inevitably become a great Tao realm powerhouse, existing on the same level as himself. Moreover, Lin Moyu might even surpass him, reaching higher levels. Lin Moyu already knew what he wanted. "I have a few requests, and I hope you can agree." The king of the boundary sea said generously, "What's this about requests? Don't be so formal, just say it." Lin Moyu said, "First, I want world-class origin crystals and world gems." The king of the boundary sea knew about Lin Moyu's situation and knew he had a boundary sea world and wanted to raise it to the 9th level. He tossed out a box. "I've prepared it for you long ago." Lin Moyu put the box away without checking it, trusting that the king of the boundary sea wouldn't be stingy. "My second request is, can you take me to see the bottom of the boundary sea?" Hearing this request, the king of the boundary sea seemed hesitant. Lin Moyu continued, "Whale Elder said that in the future, I could visit the bottom of the boundary sea. Now I just want to take a look and prepare." Hearing Lin Moyu's words, the king of the boundary sea finally agreed, "All right, I'll take you to see it." Chapter 2924, 2924. Chapter 2924, the former boundary sea really had no bottom. It's estimated that no one in the entire origin continent would dare to imagine sitting on the head of the king of the boundary sea one day. The king of the boundary sea is one of the top existences in this world who would dare sit on his head. Lin Moyu claimed he dared. And he was doing it right now. Not only was he sitting, but he was also invited by the king of the boundary sea to do so. The king of the boundary sea said that the bottom of the boundary sea was unsafe, and only by sitting on him could Lin Moyu be fully protected. Promises made to Lin Moyu had to be kept. The king of the boundary sea claimed he was a man of his word. One man and one whale flew towards the deepest part of the boundary sea. As they went deeper, the king of the boundary sea emitted a glow that enveloped Lin Moyu. After reaching 1.5 million meters, there were few creatures in the sea. Those that appeared were at least Tao Sovereign 7th realm or higher. Even at the Tao Sovereign 7th realm, they hadn't developed intelligence, indicating how difficult it was for the sea tribe to develop intelligence. Even spirit beasts with strong bloodlines would have developed intelligence by the Tao Sovereign 5th realm. The king of the boundary sea said, "Isn't it strange why it's so difficult for our sea tribe to develop intelligence?" Lin Moyu nodded, "It is indeed strange." The king of the boundary sea said, "It's not strange at all because our sea tribe is cursed." Lin Moyu was slightly shocked, "A curse from the extraterrestrial gods?" The king of the boundary sea said, "That's right, so it's very difficult for our sea tribe to develop intelligence. Fortunately, there are many of us, so despite the difficulty, many have still developed intelligence." Lin Moyu asked, "So you remain in the origin continent not only to guard the sea bottom but also to break the curse?" The king of the boundary sea snorted, "Breaking the curse isn't easy, but one must try. Back then, many were cursed, including the origin continent. As for guarding the bottom of the boundary sea, it's indeed a task. Without it, I wouldn't be able to come down. Don't ask too much, you should understand the rules." Lin Moyu smiled, "Understanding the rules. If your strength isn't sufficient, you don't need to know too much." When they reached 1.8 million meters deep, the pressure was enough to crush Lin Moyu into pieces. The sea creatures that could move here were all Tao Sovereign 8th realm and above. Even Tao Sovereign 7th realm couldn't survive here. But this was still not the deepest part of the boundary sea. The king of the boundary sea spoke again. The former boundary sea was very deep, tens of millions of meters deep. Until that great war, the boundary sea was reduced to only 2 million meters, but its power hasn't changed. 2 million meters of power is equivalent to the former tens of millions of meters. Lin Moyu blurted out, "Doesn't that mean the range of the boundary sea has shrunk?" The depth shrinking meant the range had shrunk, but the power remained the same, meaning the deep sea water had been pushed up. The king of the Boundary Sea shook his head. It's not that simple, you don't understand. Lin Moyu felt a bit frustrated. The king of the Boundary Sea always spoke in half-truths, which was really annoying. But Lin Moyu didn't bother to ask, knowing he wouldn't get an answer. Finally, they reached the 2 million meter area, which was what the king of the Boundary Sea referred to as the bottom of the Boundary Sea. Perhaps the former Boundary Sea was indeed bottomless, but now it had a bottom. Lin Moyu saw a network of plant-like structures resembling dark blue seaweed, interwoven into an endless net. But these plants were stronger than dark blue seaweed, emitting an aura as high as Tao's sovereign ninth realm. Lin Moyu asked, "Is this dark blue seaweed?" The king of the Boundary Sea sighed. Its true name should be Great Tao Blue. Lin Moyu felt puzzled. Why sigh over this? Was there something wrong with the Great Tao Blue? Then Lin Moyu realized something was off. Could the Great Tao Blue be a plant growing in the Great Tao itself? If it grows in the Great Tao, why is it here now? The king of the Boundary Sea explained, "This is a type of grass that grows in the Great Tao. It has great use, but now it's also cursed. Now, it can only serve as a secondary seal here." Lin Moyu asked, "If the bottom of the Boundary Sea holds extraterrestrial gods, wouldn't even these Great Tao Blue grasses be unable to stop them?" The king of the Boundary Sea said, "You'll see soon enough." He emitted a strange sound, forming a Tao pattern, which then exploded. The Great Tao Blue grass automatically parted, creating an opening for the king of the Boundary Sea to pass through. Although the method was different, the process was similar to when General Flying Arrow took him through the blue seaweed. Lin Moyu asked, "What's the relationship between blue seaweed and Great Tao Blue?" The king of the Boundary Sea said, "It's the relationship between the juvenile and mature stages. Blue seaweed is the newly born Great Tao Blue. It grows slowly, taking over 10,000 years to mature." So that's it. Lin Moyu realized, understanding more about the sea tribe's mysteries. This world is full of wonders, with many unknowns, which is fascinating. "Conceal your aura, we're almost there." The king of the Boundary Sea suddenly lowered his voice. Lin Moyu nodded and immediately concealed his aura. Soon, he saw a glass-like light screen filled with runes and Tao patterns. "This is a Tao array." "No, it's not just a Tao array, it's a group of Tao arrays. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the seal." Lin Moyu looked at the seal, secretly admiring it. A Tao array is an array integrated with Tao patterns. Integrating Tao patterns greatly enhances the array's power. But this method is extravagant, consuming at least one Tao pattern, often more. Generally, only top-tier 9th-level arrays use this method. In this seal, Lin Moyu saw 6 different Tao patterns, instinctively exclaiming, "It actually integrates 6 Tao patterns." Integrating Tao patterns into an array has many benefits, such as increased power and forming arrays at will. If only one Tao pattern is integrated, the array will only show one type of Tao pattern. The number of Tao patterns might be many, scattered throughout the array, but only one type of pattern appears. But in this array, Lin Moyu saw 6 distinct Tao patterns, indicating that the array integrated 6 Tao patterns. Moreover, this is a top-tier array fused with talismans, supported by 6 Tao patterns, and countless other arrays, forming an array group. The power of this array is unimaginable. Its level can't be described as 9th level. Lin Moyu doesn't know if it's a 10th level or 11th level array. Or perhaps it's reached another level with a different name. In Lin Moyu's eyes, this array is perfect, without any flaws. If the array had an array spirit, it would be even more perfect. Even without one, it's still perfect. The array's light flowed, obscuring the view of the other side. At this moment, the king of the Boundary Sea handed Lin Moyu a shell. "Place it on your forehead, and you'll see the other side of the seal, but be careful not to stare, their senses are keen." Lin Moyu nodded, placing the shell on his forehead. A peculiar power flowed from the shell into his eyes, revealing the other side of the seal. Chapter 2925, 2925. Chapter 2925. The Curse of the Mighty, the Fruit of Resurrection. On the other side of the seal, just as Lin Moyu thought, there was no seawater. It was a land with mountains, forests, grasslands, and lakes. It looked very similar to the 4 continents of the origin continent. The appearance of land beneath the sea confirmed Lin Moyu's suspicions once more. Of the 9 continents from the past, 5 did not completely collapse but sank into the Boundary Sea for some reason, becoming the bottom of the Boundary Sea. Their sinking turned the once bottomless Boundary Sea into a world with a bottom. A supreme being placed a seal, firmly sealing these 5 sunken lands at the bottom of the Boundary Sea. The reason for doing this, needless to say, was to prevent something from coming out. Suddenly, a strong sense of aversion rose from the depths of Lin Moyu's soul, and he saw a divine pet. It looked like a fox with 3 tails, wandering among the mountains and forests. Its speed wasn't fast, so he could see it clearly. Lin Moyu remembered the king of the Boundary Sea's words and didn't linger his attention on it, instead scanning back and forth to see its full appearance. Lin Moyu felt that the divine pet's gaze was somewhat strange. In his previous encounters with divine pets, their gazes were always sharp. However, this divine pet's gaze was somewhat dull. The king of the Boundary Sea led Lin Moyu along the seal, flying over mountains and lands. Lin Moyu saw more divine pets, each with unique appearances, some resembling certain animals, while others were entirely different. He even saw a peculiar creature with a fish body and 16 tentacles. Some divine pets had no eyes, but those with eyes shared a common characteristic: their gazes were dull. They moved slowly and aimlessly. Then, Lin Moyu finally saw the extraterrestrial gods. Extraterrestrial gods were easy to recognize. They all had wings. Without wings, their bodies were quite similar to humans, with 2 arms and 2 legs, but the wings were their most distinctive feature. Lin Moyu noticed that all extraterrestrial gods looked identical. Their facial features, height, and body shapes were all the same, as if they were carved from the same mold. The only difference was their wings, which varied in size, number, and appearance. Perhaps for extraterrestrial gods, wings were their symbol of identity, unlike humans. After some observation, Lin Moyu roughly categorized them. The more powerful the extraterrestrial god, the more wings they had, and the larger the wings. The weakest had only 1 wing, not a pair, just 1. Those with 1 wing were the lowest among extraterrestrial gods. Next were those with a pair of wings, which came in 2 types, feathered and non-feathered. Extraterrestrial gods with a feathered pair of wings were noticeably stronger. Then there were those with 2 pairs of wings, which always had feathers. Lin Moyu categorized extraterrestrial gods into 4 levels in his mind. Whether there were more powerful ones with 3 pairs of wings, Lin Moyu didn't know, as he hadn't seen any yet. These extraterrestrial gods shared a common trait with the divine pets: their gazes were dull. They wandered aimlessly, like puppets that had lost the ability to think, unaware of what to do or where to go. Are they sealed? Lin Moyu wondered to himself. He strictly followed the king of the Boundary Sea's instructions, not focusing on them for long and making no sound, nor did he communicate with the king of the Boundary Sea. The king of the Boundary Sea silently led him past the seal, gradually ascending and leaving the seal's range. Only after leaving the Great Dao Bluegrass did the king of the Boundary Sea speak again. What do you think? Lin Moyu spoke frankly. These extraterrestrial gods and divine pets are quite strange. The king of the Boundary Sea said, of course they're strange. A powerful being once cursed these creatures at the cost of their life, working with another powerful being to seal them. Curses aren't exclusive to extraterrestrial gods. The powerful beings of the origin continent have them too, and there's even a great Dao called the Cursed Dao. So these extraterrestrial gods were cursed, making their appearance unsurprising. A curse cast at the cost of a powerful being's life must be incredibly strong. The king of the Boundary Sea continued, most of the time, these creatures do nothing, just wander aimlessly, but sometimes they go berserk. They'll try to break the seal, and that's when I have to go suppress them. Lin Moyu asked, how strong are they? I feel these extraterrestrial gods aren't very powerful. The extraterrestrial gods Lin Moyu encountered, whether the unconscious one or the horned beast he just killed, had heavenly Dao level power. Even that divine pet was beyond the reach of a Dao sovereign 9th realm Star Lord. The king of the Boundary Sea said, under the curse, their power is suppressed, generally at the Dao sovereign 9th realm level. However, there are exceptions that might reach the quasi-great Dao realm. Lin Moyu murmured, no wonder Whale Elder wanted me to reach at least Dao sovereign 7th realm before coming here. Lin Moyu believed that by reaching Dao sovereign 7th realm, he might have the power of a Dao sovereign 9th realm, ensuring safety when he came down. The king of the Boundary Sea said, if you have the ability in the future, killing all those sealed creatures would be a good thing. Not only would you gain a massive great Dao reward, but the powerful being who cursed them at the cost of their life could also be resurrected. Lin Moyu was taken aback. What do you mean? The king of the Boundary Sea explained, a great Dao realm expert who practiced the causality great Dao planted a fruit for that powerful being. If all the extraterrestrial gods in the seal are killed, that powerful being can be resurrected. But it's very difficult, no one has ever done it over the years. You'll understand the specific reasons later. Now, do you have any other requests? Lin Moyu asked curiously, can't I make requests? The king of the Boundary Sea chuckled, you saved Whale Elder, which is a big favor. Fulfilling a few requests for you is nothing. Lin Moyu said, then could you lend Martial Zhong to me? I want to use the pressure of the deep Boundary Sea to train my body, and I'll need Martial Zhong to protect me. No problem, the king of the Boundary Sea agreed without hesitation. For him, it was a simple matter, as he held absolute authority in the Boundary Sea, the supreme ruler in the eyes of sea creatures. The king of the Boundary Sea sent Lin Moyu back to Martial Zhong's area and instructed Martial Zhong to protect Lin Moyu. Martial Zhong had no objections. Whatever the king of the Boundary Sea ordered, it would comply. Lin Moyu saluted Martial Zhong, thank you for your trouble, Martial Zhong. Martial Zhong waved its 8 giant tentacles, rest assured and train, I won't let anyone disturb you. Chapter 2926, 2926. Chapter 2926, don't know where the problem is. In the depths of the Boundary Sea, at a depth of 1.3 million meters, Lin Moyu voluntarily retracted his undying golden body, relying solely on his own blood and energy to withstand the continuous pressure coming from all directions. In this ongoing struggle, his body endured tens of thousands of hammerings every second. The continuous roaring of his blood and energy expelled small amounts of impurities from his body, making it increasingly pure and strong. A strong body also means that the great Tao of strength becomes more prominent. Cultivating the great Tao of strength requires no tricks or shortcuts. The body is the foundation of the great Tao of strength. While the realm can have some influence, it is far less important than the body. Besides, there is also the soul, which can be seen as the wall of the great Tao of strength. The true power of the great Tao of strength lies in its ability to merge the strength of the body, realm, and soul in the simplest way, ultimately achieving the power to break all laws. Martial Zhong floated about a kilometer above Lin Moyu, his 8 giant tentacles forming a massive area with a diameter of 10,000 meters centered on Lin Moyu. In this area, no other beings were allowed to cross the line. With Martial Zhong's power, he had absolute authority in this sea region, and no one dared to defy him. There were many beings at the Tao sovereign realm here, and without Martial Zhong's protection, it would be difficult for Lin Moyu, an outsider, to train here peacefully. Even if the Undead Legion could protect him, it would only be to a certain extent. Going deeper would be impossible. Therefore, having Martial Zhong as his protector was a once-and-for-all solution. If it weren't for this opportunity, it would be impossible for Martial Zhong to act as his protector, and Lin Moyu felt he didn't have that kind of influence. The strength of his body was gradually increasing, with improvements in defense and power. The sound of his blood and energy roared louder, like a cacophony of drums in the depths of the Boundary Sea. Previously, in the secret Thunder Treasury, Lin Moyu had endured continuous lightning strikes, raising his body's realm to the Tao Sovereign's second realm. At that time, his body became immune to lightning, unable to improve further. Now, his body's realm was being hammered and squeezed by the powerful forces in the Boundary Sea, starting to improve again. His body's strength grew stronger, advancing towards the Tao Sovereign third realm. Martial Zhong could sense the changes in Lin Moyu's body and said in a low voice, there are very few people on the origin continent who still cultivate their bodies. Lin Moyu replied, yes, everyone is pursuing the enhancement of their realm, and the body, which is troublesome and doesn't help with the realm, is naturally abandoned. Martial Zhong said, the body is the vessel for everything. The stronger the body, the more solid the vessel, so the body is very important. Lin Moyu laughed, many people understand this principle, but unfortunately, the body is hard to cultivate. Indeed, cultivating the body is difficult. Lin Moyu seemed to stand still, motionless, as his body gradually improved. In reality, it wasn't that simple. Lin Moyu not only used his blood and energy to resist the pressure from the Boundary Sea, but the power of life also operated crazily, pushed to the extreme. In the continuous hammering, in the confrontation between blood energy and the power of the Boundary Sea, the body would constantly be injured. Lin Moyu continuously used the power of life to heal himself, achieving a perfect balance between the speed of body damage and recovery. Thus, the body grew stronger through continuous injury and recovery. If it were someone else, unable to heal their body's injuries immediately, their body would collapse quickly, and they wouldn't achieve Lin Moyu's training effect. Using pills wouldn't work either. Different levels of the body require different levels of pills, and controlling the recovery speed of the pills is crucial. Too fast won't work, too slow won't work either. Most importantly, pills contain toxins and can't be used long-term. Therefore, very few people on the origin continent are suitable for body cultivation, and over time, no one specifically cultivates the body. Everyone pursues higher realms and stronger great Taos. Boom! With a loud noise, Lin Moyu's blood and energy surged, stirring the boundary sea. His body finally reached the Tao Sovereign Third Realm. Although his realm was still at the Tao Sovereign First Realm, his body alone was enough to contend head-on with a Tao Sovereign Third Realm practitioner, even without using any spells. After reaching the Tao Sovereign Third Realm, Lin Moyu immediately felt that the pressure in the boundary sea had lessened significantly, and the effect had diminished. Without hesitation, he moved deeper, where the pressure was greater. Marshal Zhang followed, continuing to protect Lin Moyu. Delving another 200,000 meters deeper, reaching 1.5 million meters, the pressure increased significantly, once again challenging Lin Moyu. The marketplace had been bustling recently, with many Tao Sovereign Sixth Realm experts from the Liu family returning to the city. Some of them weren't in the East Continent before, but they all received orders from the three ancestors to return immediately. 160 Tao Sovereign Sixth Realm members of the Liu family entered the city and were gathered for a special examination. The three ancestors provided no explanation, and in the eyes of the Liu family, the three ancestors were supreme. They didn't need to ask questions, only to execute orders. The examination was conducted by Lu Lian and Xiahou Yuan, using various methods, numerous formations, and treasures, examining meticulously. But no matter how they checked, they found no results. 160 Tao Sovereign Sixth Realm members, none of whom had broken through to the Tao Sovereign Seventh Realm over the years, was very unusual. In the space of the three ancestors, Xiahou Yuan and Lu Lian were present. Xiahou Yuan said, "Indeed, we found no issues. Although they haven't advanced to the Tao Sovereign Seventh Realm, their aura is stable, and there are no signs of soul injury." The three ancestors nodded. "What about you, Xiao Lian?" Lu Lian said, "I haven't found any issues either, but I'm sure there's something wrong with them." The three ancestors asked, "How do you determine that?" Lu Lian pointed, displaying a projection where 260 Tao Sovereigns appeared. Underneath each Tao Sovereign, a number continuously changed. Each Tao Sovereign's number was different, with no repetitions. Lu Lian said, "Although they are all Tao Sovereign Sixth Realm, their combat power differs. Within the same realm, combat power can vary more than tenfold. But now, their combat power has become consistent." As Lu Lian spoke, the numbers under each Tao Sovereign in the projection began to converge, eventually becoming identical. Without exception, these numbers were lower than before. In other words, these Tao Sovereign Sixth Realm experts hadn't improved their combat power over the years, instead, they had weakened. Moreover, everyone's combat power was identical, with no differences. That's why Lu Lian was 100% sure that something was wrong with these 160 Tao Sovereigns. The three ancestors trusted Lu Lian's judgment, murmuring, "The key is, we don't know where the problem is, and that's the most troublesome part." Chapter 2927. 2927. Chapter 2927, Try to Crush Me to Death. Lin Moyu stayed in the depths of the boundary sea, at 1.5 million meters, for a full 100 days. The Tao Sovereign Third Realm body, after 100 days, was still at the Tao Sovereign Third Realm and had not reached the Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm. Body cultivation was far more difficult than Lin Moyu had imagined. After the Tao Sovereign Third Realm, although the body continued to improve, the rate of improvement slowed down significantly. As he approached the Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm, Lin Moyu felt that his body had adapted to the pressure of the deep boundary sea. Just like adapting to the thunder, his body began to get used to the pressure from the boundary sea, and the improvement speed slowed down. After 100 days, Lin Moyu continued to move deeper. This time, he went directly to a depth of 1.9 million meters in the boundary sea. Marshal Zhang told him not to go to the last 100,000 meters. In the last 100,000 meters, there were some Tao Sovereign Ninth Realm beings who were not very obedient. Lin Moyu had been to this depth before, and there was not much difference between 1.9 million meters and 2 million meters. Here, it was already the place with the greatest pressure in the boundary sea. Normally, a Tao Sovereign Fifth Realm coming here would be in danger. But Lin Moyu could be here unharmed. Although moving was somewhat difficult, it was not dangerous. The strength of his body was evident. At this depth, his body finally began to improve again. Another 100 days passed, and with the roaring of his blood and energy, his body burst into brilliant light, becoming a beacon in the dark depths of the boundary sea. His skin vibrated at a peculiar frequency, absorbing all the pressure from the boundary sea. In the vibration, Lin Moyu shone brightly, dazzlingly. The roaring of his blood and energy echoed as it circulated within him. His body's strength rose to another level, reaching the Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm. This meant he could rely on his body to contend with a Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm practitioner. The leap from the Tao Sovereign Third Realm to the Fourth Realm was significant, with a vast difference in strength. A Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm could use the true body of the Great Tao, with combat power far surpassing that of the Third Realm. Lin Moyu was now in a similar situation. He could fight a Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm using the true body of the Great Tao with just his body and not be at a disadvantage. I didn't expect that I would surpass the Undead Legion. It's quite interesting, Lin Moyu thought. The Undead Legion had always been his forte, his strongest combat force. He never expected that now his body would surpass the Undead Legion. The Skeleton King was only at the Tao Sovereign Third Realm, but he could crush the Skeleton King with just his body. The gap was significant, understandable only at this level. As the light gradually dimmed, Lin Moyu's blood and energy also stopped roaring. All his power was restrained, and the surroundings returned to darkness. Without using a trace of his body's power, with all his blood and energy dormant, Lin Moyu stood in the boundary sea unharmed. In this state, Lin Moyu seemed to merge with the boundary sea. The body is now completely immune to the boundary sea. To continue improving my body, I need to find other methods. His body was completely immune to the boundary sea, and the pressure of the water could no longer harm him. Similarly, he could no longer use the boundary sea's water to enhance his body. Lin Moyu's eyes shifted slightly, and he transmitted to Marshal Zhang, "Marshal Zhang, can you do me a favor?" Marshal Zhang was very polite to Lin Moyu. "What do you need me to do?" Lin Moyu said, "Wrap me in your tentacles and try to crush me with the power of a Tao Sovereign Fifth Realm." Marshal Zhang was taken aback, already guessing what Lin Moyu wanted to do. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Lin Moyu said, "Don't worry, I won't die." "As you wish." Marshal Zhang's tentacles vibrated and wrapped around Lin Moyu, then began to squeeze him. Lin Moyu's blood and energy roared again, pushing his body's strength, merging with the great Tao of strength, to resist the pressure from Marshal Zhang. He shone brightly again, radiant. His body continued to vibrate, and with the vibrations, immense power poured out. Marshal Zhang controlled his power very accurately, at the level of a Tao Sovereign Fifth Realm, no more, no less. Under the pressure of a Tao Sovereign Fifth Realm's power, wounds appeared on Lin Moyu's body. But no blood flowed from the wounds, as an invisible force locked it all in. His blood and energy roared, and facing the crushing power of a Tao Sovereign Fifth Realm, Lin Moyu gradually showed signs of strain. In the next instant, the undying golden body activated, and golden flames erupted from Lin Moyu's body. His body's defense increased sharply, firmly blocking Marshal Zhang's pressure. The wounds on his body healed instantly. Moments later, Lin Moyu's voice sounded, "Marshal Zhang, that's enough." Marshal Zhang immediately withdrew his power and released Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu stood still, his eyes reflecting deep thought. The improvement in body strength has also elevated the undying golden body to a higher level. If I use the undying golden body, my body's defense is actually at the Tao Sovereign Fifth Realm. Marshal Zhang's pressure can't make my body stronger because every bit of his power contains his personal will. For my body to strengthen, I need external pressure that has no master. For example, the thunder in the secret thunder treasury, although it belongs to golden thunder, it mobilizes the power of the great Tao, not his own power. Moreover, golden thunder is already dead, and the great Tao power he mobilized has long lost his personal will. It seems that I need to find similar power in the future to continue enhancing my body, but it's hard to find. Lin Moyu sighed lightly, knowing that finding such unowned power would be difficult. Marshal Zhang was very patient and didn't disturb Lin Moyu while he pondered. When Lin Moyu finished thinking and found the root of the problem, he transmitted, "Thank you for waiting, Marshal Zhang. I'm done here, let's go back." Marshal Zhang nodded, "All right, let's go back. General Flying Arrow will take you back." Good. Marshal Zhang protected Lin Moyu as they returned to their original location. General Flying Arrow seemed to be dozing there. When Lin Moyu returned, it woke up and took him back. Passing through the blue seaweed, they flew out of the Boundary Sea like a rocket. General Flying Arrow transformed into a bolt of lightning, heading back towards Yudao City. Midway, General Flying Arrow said, "Lin Xiaoyu, your body seems much stronger than before." Lin Moyu smiled slightly. "Yes, thanks to the King of the Boundary Sea and Marshal Zhang, my body has improved a bit." General Flying Arrow said, "It's not easy for humans to cultivate their bodies, unlike us sea tribes, who naturally grow stronger without deliberate cultivation." Lin Moyu said, "That's the advantage of the sea tribe, but every race has its advantages. I'm just a bit more troublesome, but there's always a way. Now that the Boundary Sea is no longer useful for my body, I need to find another method." General Flying Arrow thought for a moment, "If you have the chance, you can check around the sea. You might find something useful." Chapter 2928, 2928. Chapter 2928. You're flying slow, I'll send a ship to pick you up. General Flying Arrow was very talkative, chatting with Lin Moyu all the way there and back. Lin Moyu found information about the CI. In the center of the four continents east, south, west, and north surrounded by the Boundary Sea, there is a CI. This CI has existed for countless years. No one knows what's inside the CI. Some have entered but quickly got lost. When they reappeared, they were often in another place. Even those at the Dao Sovereign Ninth Realm who explored it had similar results. It's said that no one can truly reach the deepest part of the CI. With Lin Moyu's current understanding of the Boundary Sea, he knew what lay at the bottom. It was a massive seal, sealing away many extraterrestrial gods and their divine pets. If the CI could really lead to the bottom, it would likely be at the seal. Not to mention, the great Dao blue grass outside the seal isn't something an ordinary Dao Sovereign Ninth Realm can break through. Lin Moyu didn't have any extra thoughts about the CI, but he still asked, "Is there anything in the CI?" General Flying Arrow said, "I don't know what's inside the CI. The Great King doesn't allow us to go there, but near the CI, there are some small vortices containing different powers. You can check them out if you have the chance. But with your current realm, crossing the Boundary Sea is a bit difficult. After reaching the Dao Sovereign Fourth Realm, it will be relatively safer." Flying Arrow didn't know that Lin Moyu's physical body alone could withstand attacks from the Dao Sovereign Fifth Realm. If he knew, he wouldn't have said that. Lin Moyu said, "Thank you, General Flying Arrow. If I have the chance, I'll take a look." The two chatted all the way, and a few days later, General Flying Arrow returned Lin Moyu to Yudao City. As soon as he returned, the human emperor sent a message, "Realm Master, Miss Lu Shui has been waiting for you." Lin Moyu was a bit surprised. "Waiting for me?" The human emperor said, "About 100 days. Did she say what it's about?" Lin Moyu thought it wasn't Lu Shui waiting for him but the three ancestors. The human emperor said, "It's probably about the last thing. The three ancestors sent her to wait for you. She contacts me every day, asking if you've returned." Lin Moyu chuckled, "No rush, let her wait. I'll go see Xiaoyu." With a flicker, Lin Moyu used the origin spirit vein to teleport to the courtyard. Xiaoyu was cultivating, with Xiaowu and Xiaowu not disturbing her. Xiaosun wasn't in the courtyard, whereabouts unknown. The three sensed Lin Moyu, and Xiaowu exclaimed, "Master!" and rushed over, clinging to Lin Moyu as usual. "Master! Father!" Xiaoyu and Xiaowu called sweetly. Lin Moyu looked at Xiaoyu. "Xiaoyu, well done, you've reached the other shore realm." Xiaoyu smiled sweetly, "It's all thanks to Master's teaching." Lin Moyu laughed and looked at Xiaowu. "Xiaowu, it seems your realm has improved a lot too." Xiaowu said, "The tree sap Father gave is very useful. Xiaowu takes a drop every day, and now the daily progress is more than 10 days before." Lin Moyu laughed, "As long as it's effective, keep taking it." At this moment, Xiaowu shouted, "And me, I've improved a lot too." Lin Moyu could see that Xiaowu had indeed improved a lot. Although still at the peak Heavenly Sovereign, she was closer to the Dao Sovereign. Crossing from Heavenly Sovereign to Dao Sovereign isn't something that can be done casually. At least for now, no Heavenly Sovereign in Yudao City has truly become a Dao Sovereign. Hooshin Zun and others have used world fruits to enhance the Rule World to perfection and take silver tree sap daily, yet they remain stuck at the peak Heavenly Sovereign level. Lin Moyu estimated that even with the best conditions, it would take Hooshin Zun and others decades, even 100 years, to break through to Dao Sovereign. Unless one day they suddenly have an epiphany, they might break through directly. But such occurrences are rare. After spending half a day with Xiaoyu and the others, Lin Moyu went to the city lord's mansion, telling the human emperor to notify Lu Shui. Lu Shui rushed into the city lord's mansion. "City Lord Lin, you're finally back." Lin Moyu smiled. "What does the three ancestors want with me?" Lu Shui shook her head. "I don't know, but the three ancestors instructed me to contact him as soon as you returned." The three ancestors' words were like an edict, and Lu Shui naturally treated it as the most important task. She would ask the human emperor every few days, but the human emperor wouldn't contact Lin Moyu for her. Although the human emperor could contact Lin Moyu through the real world, he wouldn't disturb him for her. Lu Shui handed the formation disc given by the three ancestors to Lin Moyu and quickly retreated. Lin Moyu activated the formation disc, and the voice of the three ancestors immediately came through. "Kid, you're finally back." From the way the three ancestors addressed him, Lin Moyu could gauge his mood. If the three ancestors were in a good mood, he'd call him Lin Xiaoyu. If not, he'd call him Lin Kid. If he called him Kid, it meant the three ancestors weren't in a good mood. Lin Moyu smiled. "I just got back. Why are the three ancestors in such a hurry to find me? What's the matter?" The three ancestors said. "What else could it be? It's about the last thing." Lin Moyu asked, "Did the main ancestor figure out the issue with those Dao sovereigns?" Speaking of the Lu family's Dao sovereigns, the three ancestors snorted. "No, we can't find the root of the problem." Lin Moyu understood. "So the problem exists, but we can't find it." The three ancestors said. "Exactly, those Dao sovereigns have issues. How's your side of things?" Lin Moyu said. "It's done." The three ancestors said. "Then come over to the mall." Lin Moyu frowned. "Are you in such a hurry?" The three ancestors said. "Of course, I'm in a hurry." "Forget it, you're flying slow, I'll send a ship to pick you up." After speaking, he didn't give Lin Moyu a chance to choose and directly closed the formation. Lin Moyu walked out with the formation disc and handed it to Lu Shui, who was waiting outside. "President Lu's task is complete." Lu Shui didn't ask what it was about, knowing she wasn't qualified to ask. "Thank you, City Lord Lin. I'll take my leave." As she was leaving, Lu Shui suddenly said, "Oh, Elder Fengqing asked me to thank you. His formation skills have improved greatly thanks to your guidance." Lin Moyu smiled. "That's his fortune." After sending Lu Shui off, Lin Moyu teleported back to his house. His house was over 10,000 kilometers from Yudao City. The origin spirit vein there had mutated due to the hell fragment, becoming unique and closer to immortality. Lin Moyu preferred it there. The aura from the origin spirit vein made him feel comfortable. He took out the box given by the king of the Boundary Sea. Opening the box, a rich origin aura emanated from it. Inside the box were 6 neatly arranged items. One was an origin spirit vein, not yet unfolded, with an aura of the 6th level. Lin Moyu could feed the origin spirit vein to his own, enhancing its level. He could also feed it to the bone hell, enhancing the bone hell. The other 5 items included 2 world-class origin crystals, both of the 7th level. There were also 3 world gems. Chapter 2929, 2929. Chapter 2929, This world is amazing. 2 world-class origin crystals of the 7th level are invaluable. Especially for some mid-level forces, a single world-class origin crystal is equivalent to a Dao Sovereign Realm powerhouse. Unlike top-tier forces, for them, each additional Dao Sovereign Realm expert can significantly enhance their strength. Of course, many top-tier forces also use world-class origin crystals to cultivate Dao Sovereigns. However, they won't directly use world-class origin crystals to cultivate disciples into Dao Sovereigns. They will start by obtaining the origin world and let disciples participate in the Boundary Sea competition. Through the competition, they accumulate experience and personally cultivate the Boundary Sea world to the 7th level, then become Dao Sovereigns. If they fail, it doesn't matter, top-tier forces have ways to obtain 7th level world-class origin crystals. Even if they can't get them, after this experience, they can still become Dao Sovereigns through their own efforts. Lu Fengyao followed this path, and even if she failed back then, it didn't matter, she eventually became a Dao Sovereign. For Lin Moyu, the greatest use of these 2 7th-level world-class origin crystals is to enhance his great world. He wants to elevate his great world to the 9th level, which the King of the Boundary Sea knows, so the items sent now are suitable for Lin Moyu. The King of the Boundary Sea is thoughtful. Lin Moyu suddenly thought of a question. The king of the Boundary Sea knows I want to enhance the Boundary Sea world, so why send an origin spirit vein? Does it mean that enhancing the Boundary Sea world also requires an origin spirit vein? Lin Moyu shared his doubts with the human emperor, asking him to analyze it. The human emperor, currently possessing vast information and having merged with the wisdom heart pearl, had greatly increased power and might be able to analyze the answer. Indeed, within half an hour, the human emperor had found a possibility from the vast data. According to some records, someone once tried to integrate an origin spirit vein into the Boundary Sea world. However, the records don't say whether it succeeded or failed. In history, 3 people did this, and one of them eventually became a high-level Dao sovereign. This person came from a 4-star power, and after becoming a high-level Dao sovereign, he tried to elevate his power to a high-level power, a 6-star power. In the end, he didn't succeed and fell in battle when competing with another 6-star power. A high-level Dao sovereign is a being above the Dao sovereign's 7th realm. For a 4-star power, having a high-level Dao sovereign is a miracle. A 4-star power having a few ordinary Dao sovereigns is already quite good. High-level Dao sovereigns are typically only found in 6-star powers. Just like Thunder City in the southern continent, the Thunder Clan's ancestor is only at the Dao sovereign 4th realm, but the Thunder Clan is still the same. The Thunder Clan has Thunder Mountain, a top-tier origin spirit vein, and the Heavenly Thunder Taoist overseeing it. That's why the Thunder Clan qualifies as a 6-star power within the Coldwater Holy Land. Without the Heavenly Thunder Taoist, the Thunder Clan would either bow down or be destroyed. On the origin continent, many established 6-star powers have Dao sovereign 7th realm experts. Falling in competition is also normal. The most important thing isn't how he fell but how he became a high-level Dao sovereign. According to the human emperor's analysis, he placed an origin spirit vein into the Boundary Sea world during the Boundary Sea competition. Then, like Lin Moyu, he merged the Boundary Sea world with his rule world. However, this is just the human emperor's analysis and not entirely accurate. But it's enough for Lin Moyu to understand the king of the Boundary Sea's intention. The Great World has reached the 7th level. Integrating a 6th level origin spirit vein shouldn't be a problem. Lin Moyu immediately decided to integrate the origin spirit vein into the Great World. He went to the world's core and handed over the origin spirit vein. This is the simplest integration method, letting the world core absorb the origin spirit vein. The world core has an instinctive world will. If it can't absorb the origin spirit vein, it naturally won't. If it can, it will arrange itself. At the moment the origin spirit vein touched the world core vibrated with a hum, and the origin spirit vein was instantly absorbed. It works. Lin Moyu's heart filled with joy, realizing he hadn't misunderstood the king of the Boundary Sea's intention. After the world core absorbed the origin spirit vein, a large amount of origin power emerged throughout the great world. Lin Moyu felt the world becoming stronger and more solid. Origin power emerged from every corner, and the rules seemed to become more complete. Previously, the Great World's rules evolved through the Great Tao of the origin continent, and the rules were somewhat incomplete. But now, Lin Moyu suddenly felt that the origin power seemed to be perfecting the rules. A bold idea suddenly emerged in his mind: if I elevate the Great World to the 9th level, or even beyond, and integrate enough origin spirit veins, could the Great World become another origin continent? Having its own independent Great Tao, complete rules, and its own power. The more Lin Moyu thought about it, the more he felt it wasn't impossible. If there's a chance, I must try. This world is amazing. As long as you're bold enough and strong enough, nothing is impossible. Lin Moyu felt the changes in the Great World, where origin power was rising everywhere. The 6th level origin spirit vein had fully expanded, and under the nourishment of origin power, the beings in the Great World would cultivate faster. Many resources unique to the origin continent would also appear over time. Returning to his senses, he put away the box given by the human emperor. Now wasn't the time to use it. The 2 7th level world-class origin crystals, 3 world gems, plus 1 remaining world gem, were enough to elevate the Great World to the 8th level, with some surplus. However, now wasn't the time. According to the plan, he would wait until he truly reached the Dao Sovereign 4th realm before elevating the Great World to the 8th level. Otherwise, if the Great World's level exceeded his own, it wouldn't benefit him. 2 days later, a warship flew in from afar, stopping at the formation group 10,000 miles outside Yudao City, marked with the Lufeng Merchant Guild's insignia. Lin Moyu flew out of the formation group and boarded the warship. Without a word, the warship turned and headed towards the mall. The ship was piloted by a Dao Sovereign 7th Realm expert, a member of the Lu family, who appeared somewhat aloof and remained silent throughout. He didn't speak, and Lin Moyu naturally didn't bother talking to him. Lin Moyu multitasked, continuously condensing Dao patterns regardless of what he was doing. The 36th Dao pattern, barring any surprises, would take another 100 years to fully form. By then, he would also be advancing to the Dao Sovereign 2nd Realm. No one knew how many things Lin Moyu was doing simultaneously. Condensing Dao patterns, reviving the stars of the 1000-star Great Dao, studying formations, and reviewing vast amounts of information. If anyone knew, they would surely think Lin Moyu was crazy. 2 days later, the warship arrived at the mall's entrance. Lu Lian was already waiting outside the mall, and as soon as Lin Moyu arrived, he immediately led him to a courtyard. There, Lin Moyu met 160 Dao Sovereigns. Chapter 2930, 2930. Chapter 2930, Lin Moyu's own method. 160 Dao Sovereigns of the 6th Realm sat cross-legged, eyes closed. They were both men and women, but all bore some resemblance, as they were all from the Lu family. Lin Moyu asked, "What's going on with them?" Lu Lian replied, "They are all sealed. You can check them freely, and if you need anything, we will assist you." Lin Moyu was taken aback. The 3 ancestors urgently called me over just to have me check them. If even the 3 ancestors couldn't find anything, how could I possibly find something? Lu Lian said nothing, but suddenly the voice of the 3 ancestors echoed in his ear, "Stop talking nonsense and just check." Lin Moyu asked, "What if I can't find anything?" The 3 ancestors said, "If you can't find anything, it's just their bad luck. But if you do find the reason, I will reward you handsomely." Lin Moyu chuckled, "How handsome?" The 3 ancestors snorted, "You talk too much, just get on with it." Lin Moyu asked, "I'm just curious, why do you think I can find the reason?" The 3 ancestors said 4 words, "Illusory Great Dao." Lin Moyu immediately understood. The 3 ancestors didn't understand the illusory Great Dao, and having tried other methods without success, they could only rely on him, hoping that perhaps the illusory Great Dao might offer some hope. But it was mostly a last-ditch effort. Lin Moyu said, "Show me the methods you've used before." Lu Lian had already prepared and handed a jade token to Lin Moyu. After examining it, Lin Moyu had a grasp of the situation. The 3 ancestors had indeed used various methods, including Shaho Yuan's Soul Great Dao and multiple treasures, but none yielded results. Having exhausted all methods without discovery, they turned to the power of illusion. This was a point the 3 ancestors had overlooked, and if the power of illusion wanted to hide, it was even harder to detect. They had also tried using treasures containing the power of illusion, but to no avail. Thus, the only option left was to find someone who comprehended the illusory Great Dao. In the origin continent, Lin Moyu wasn't the only one who comprehended the illusory Great Dao, but the 3 ancestors didn't trust others. Originally, there was no rush, but Lu Lian discovered something. The power of the 160 Dao Sovereigns was weakening. The weakening was so slow that even they hadn't noticed. If this continued, in about 2000 years, these 160 Dao Sovereigns would fall from the 6th realm to the 5th realm. Cultivators are very sensitive to their cultivation levels, and a decrease in cultivation without any awareness was strange enough to raise alarm. Moreover, Lu Lian determined that their cultivation would fall together. Yes, all 160 Dao Sovereigns would collectively drop from the 6th realm to the 5th realm at the same time. This made it even stranger. After reviewing all the information, Lin Moyu's gaze grew serious. At this point, the 3 ancestors remained silent, and Lu Lian stood quietly by. They left the matter to Lin Moyu to handle, and unless he spoke up, they wouldn't interfere. The 3 ancestors knew that Lin Moyu had his own way of thinking about things, different from ordinary people. It was precisely because of this that Lin Moyu might be able to solve a mystery even the 3 ancestors couldn't. Lin Moyu indeed had his own considerations. He saw a crucial piece of information in the data provided by Lu Lian. The power of the 160 Dao Sovereigns was completely identical, not differing by a fraction. Moreover, their power would decrease simultaneously, with no sequence. This was somewhat similar to the infinite link ability of his undead legion. In other words, the culprit causing the power decline of the 160 Dao Sovereigns was connected in some special way. After thinking it over, Lin Moyu made his first judgment: they were either a single entity or 10 groups. He didn't believe in coincidences, every event had a root cause. Since the 160 Dao sovereigns were confirmed to have issues, the root cause could surely be found. Lin Moyu asked, "Can I enter their soul world?" Entering someone's soul world requires absolute trust or some special means. Seconds later, the 3 ancestors' voice sounded, "You can, Xiao Lian, activate the formation." Lu Lian immediately activated the formation, and it began to operate, with the 160 Dao sovereigns positioned at various nodes. Lu Lian said, "The formation is activated, their soul worlds are open, and their souls are in a dormant state. You can enter their soul worlds from the formation's core." The 3 ancestors' methods were indeed impressive, not only sealing these Dao sovereigns but also forcibly opening their soul worlds. Lin Moyu knew he didn't have the capability to do this. The 3 ancestors allowing him to enter their soul worlds was a sign of absolute trust. Lin Moyu nodded and stepped into the formation, sitting at the core. An invisible white mist emerged from his body, quickly enveloping the entire formation. The great Dao of Fortune was activated, silently covering all the Dao sovereigns. Lin Moyu used his soul to communicate with the formation and saw 160 light spots, each representing a soul world. He randomly chose one and entered it. In the soul world of a certain Dao sovereign, the soul was also in a dormant state. He approached the soul and observed it carefully. The soul appeared perfectly intact, with no signs of injury. Intact, not a scratch. Lin Moyu drew his first conclusion, which matched the conclusion of the 3 ancestors. Xiahou Yuan had used his soul great Dao to examine their souls, also finding nothing. Normally, if even Xiahou Yuan couldn't find the problem, Lin Moyu wouldn't either, as Xiahou Yuan was more specialized in soul matters. But Lin Moyu had his own method. Activating the Eye of the Undead, Lin Moyu viewed the soul in a different way. The original soul appeared as a vibrant soul flame in Lin Moyu's eyes. Using the Eye of the Undead within the soul world provided a clearer view than using it externally. This was one reason Lin Moyu wanted to enter the soul world. He believed the problem lay within the soul. By observing the soul flame's color, activity, and perfection, Lin Moyu could determine if there was an issue. The soul flame before him initially appeared perfect. Due to the soul's dormant state, the soul flame flickered slowly, allowing Lin Moyu to see more clearly. The soul flame's color was a noble gold with a hint of purple, indicating the strength of a Dao sovereign 6th realm. Lin Moyu observed the soul flame from different angles, finding no issues from any perspective. If the soul flame had no issues, it meant the soul was fine. Could my judgment be wrong? Is the problem not with the soul but elsewhere? But that doesn't make sense, only the soul can affect memory. Lin Moyu trusted his judgment, 90% certain the issue was with the soul. After repeated observations, Lin Moyu suddenly noticed a small dot. Chapter 2931, 2931. Chapter 2931, Illusory Insects. Under the Eye of the Undead, the soul flame appeared like an unopened flower, which Lin Moyu peeled back layer by layer. Lin Moyu trusted his judgment when the soul's surface showed no issues. He looked deeper into the soul. The depths of the soul are a difficult area to reach. It's not just difficult to touch, even seeing it is challenging. Even someone as skilled in the soul great Dao as Xiahou Yuan might not be able to touch the soul's depths. Not to mention Xiahou Yuan, even the soul's owner might not be able to touch it. The soul's depths are like the inside of a person's body, where a minor, insignificant injury occurs at an unimportant spot. With no pain, no wound, and no bleeding, the person might never realize they're injured internally. Similarly, it's even harder for an outsider to detect. Lin Moyu fully activated the Eye of the Undead, looking from the soul's surface to its interior, layer by layer, missing no details. Finally, at the deepest part of the soul flame, he saw an insignificant little dot. He then used all his strength to observe this little dot. The dot enlarged in his vision, and he finally saw that the dot was a soul flame. A faint, almost non-existent soul flame. The soul flame was incredibly tiny, hiding deep within the Dao Sovereign's soul flame, almost merging with it. If Lin Moyu hadn't been meticulous, checking layer by layer, he wouldn't have discovered it. Lin Moyu looked at this soul flame. It wasn't mature, seemingly still in gestation. Incredibly tiny and vague, Lin Moyu had never seen such a small thing. He put away the Eye of the Undead and used the Eye of the Soul to look. The Eye of the Undead could only see the soul flame, not its true form. Guided by the Eye of the Undead, Lin Moyu finally saw this little thing deep in the soul. A tiny insect composed of illusory power. The insect was minuscule, less than 1/10,000th the size of a hair. So small, it was hard to detect. Yet it existed, parasitizing the soul and feeding on it. This must be it, an illusory insect. It parasitizes the Tao sovereigns' souls, continuously feeding on them, while also having a numbing ability, making the Tao sovereigns unable to detect their presence. Crucially, these parasite-like little things must be connected to each other or controlled by another entity. This control method isn't limited by time, space, or distance. Lin Moyu didn't immediately remove it without understanding the situation. It wasn't advisable to act. He turned to another Tao sovereign's soul world to check again. After peeling back the soul flame layers, he found the same tiny insect in this soul as well. The two insects were identical, with no difference in size or strength. Lin Moyu continued checking, one after another. It was meticulous work, and it took Lin Moyu 3 days and nights to check all 160 Tao sovereigns. Through repeated checks, Lin Moyu slowly reached a conclusion. These illusory insects must have a mother body. They are all controlled by a mother body, which is why they maintain such balance. Different times, different cultivation levels, each person entered that secret realm at different times, but the results were all the same. Even if there were differences initially, they would eventually become the same. If no one was controlling them, this wouldn't be possible. It seems that to solve this problem, I'll most likely have to visit that space. Lin Moyu speculated that behind all these soul insects, there was a mother body. This structure was somewhat similar to the Zerg. A mother insect could control countless insects, issuing commands regardless of space. It was also somewhat similar to his undead legion. To solve this problem, he would have to visit that secret realm. Lin Moyu slowly opened his eyes, looked at Lu Lian, and said calmly, "I found the reason." Before Lu Lian could speak, the three ancestors' voice exploded in his ear, "You really found it?" Lin Moyu chuckled and asked back, "Would you prefer I didn't find it?" The three ancestors ignored Lin Moyu's words. "Quickly, tell me what it is." Lin Moyu said, "It's probably an insect composed of illusory power, very small, only 1/10,000th the size of a hair. They are almost integrated with the soul, small enough and made of illusory power, so it's normal that you didn't find them." The three ancestors asked, "Does everyone have one?" Lin Moyu nodded, "Everyone does, and they're all identical, so I suspect there's something controlling these insects. That's why I didn't act, because I can't remove all these insects at once. If I remove one and provoke the others, it might harm these Tao sovereigns." Lin Moyu's reasoning was sound, and the three ancestors fell silent, not speaking. After a moment, the three ancestors' voice came again, "Come to my place." Space twisted, giving Lin Moyu no choice, directly transporting him. In the mall, the three ancestors had the highest authority, able to do almost anything through the origin spirit vein. Lin Moyu was familiar with the space where the three ancestors resided. But this time, it was different. With a wave of the three ancestors' hand, the space gained an additional layer of shackles, becoming more closed. Lin Moyu felt his connection with the great Tao disappear. The three ancestors used their power to make this space completely independent, detached from the heavenly Tao. Of course, it wasn't truly detached, just a temporary state that couldn't last long. In this state, not even Lu Lian could know what the three ancestors said or did. Lin Moyu realized that what the three ancestors were about to say might be a significant secret that no one else should know. The three ancestors spoke in a deep voice. "Once, there was a powerful extraterrestrial god, so powerful that it could easily kill a great Tao realm being, comparable to a Tao master level existence. To kill it, we paid a great price. It had a peculiar divine pet, which, from our perspective, was illusory. The extraterrestrial god was killed, but its divine pet wasn't. To be precise, its life or death is unknown." Lin Moyu said softly, "As far as I know, extraterrestrial gods fear illusory power, yet they keep illusory divine pets." The three ancestors replied, "Everything has two sides. Just because extraterrestrial gods fear illusory power doesn't mean they don't possess it." Lin Moyu agreed with the three ancestors' words. Just because extraterrestrial gods fear illusory power doesn't mean they lack it. Illusory power is also effective against Tao sovereigns of the origin continent, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist there. Lin Moyu asked, "So, that divine pet isn't dead and is hiding in the secret realm?" Chapter 2932, 2932. Chapter 2932, If you're a businessman, you can negotiate. Lin Moyu's expression was somewhat serious. Given the recovery ability of a divine pet, if it wasn't dead, it would have already recovered. Whether it's hiding in that origin secret realm or trap there is uncertain. If it's just hiding, Lin Moyu felt that going there would be like delivering himself on a platter. But then he thought something was off. The three ancestors mentioned that the origin secret realm already had an extraterrestrial god. Unless the extraterrestrial god mentioned by the three ancestors was that divine pet. Either way, going there would be a death sentence. The three ancestors said in a low voice, "We can't be sure it's that. Illusory insects aren't exclusive to extraterrestrial gods. They could also be from the origin continent." Lin Moyu suddenly realized something he had overlooked. "I didn't feel any aversion when I saw that insect earlier." The three ancestors said, "That's the second point I wanted to make. It's special because it doesn't trigger the Great Tao's aversion. To be precise, the insects it splits into don't trigger aversion, but its mother body still would. So, you can't rely on that to distinguish them." Lin Moyu sighed. "You're still suggesting I go, aren't you?" The three ancestors said softly, "While I hope you do, I'm not forcing you this time. It's your decision." Lin Moyu was also contemplating this issue. If there really was an extraterrestrial god in that origin secret realm, it was indeed very tempting for him. Killing an extraterrestrial god and obtaining the Great Tao reward could save him a lot of time on his cultivation path. Lin Moyu thought for a moment, "How about this, show me the information on that origin secret realm, and I'll decide whether to go." The three ancestors said, "I was going to give it to you anyway." "Is the place Old Black asked you to go dangerous?" Lin Moyu chuckled. "How could it not be dangerous? I was on the brink of life and death in there. For specifics, you should ask the king of the Boundary Sea. It's inconvenient for me to say." The three ancestors nodded and didn't press further. With a wave of his hand, the space around Lin Moyu twisted, and in an instant, he was back in his original place. The 160 Tao sovereigns sat neatly, unmoving. The three ancestors' voice rang out, "Xiao Lian, give him the information on the Ice and Fire secret realm." Lu Lian handed a jade token to Lin Moyu without hesitation. "All the information on the Ice and Fire secret realm is in here." Lin Moyu examined the jade token's contents. The information on the secret realm was collected by the 160 Tao sovereign sixth realm experts, each providing their insights. There were many commonalities, but also many differing opinions. The Ice and Fire secret realm is composed of ice and fire forces. The sky is perennially shrouded in ice, with extremely low temperatures, often experiencing freezing rain or snow. Meanwhile, the ground is a world of fire, with lava, volcanoes, and flames covering almost all the land. Where ice and fire meet, a lot of mist forms. In this mist, the great Tao powers of ice and fire intertwine, making it difficult for Tao sovereigns to see far. Once inside, they are almost in a semi-lost state, so their observations are limited. The environment is just one peculiarity of the Ice and Fire secret realm. Another is its time limit. Once inside, everyone can only stay for 100 days before being transported out, and they can't enter again. This is why the three ancestors sent 160 Tao sovereigns one after another. Otherwise, sending the same people repeatedly would have been the best choice. The three ancestors sent people into the secret realm to obtain something called the Ice and Fire Tao Stone. The three ancestors didn't say where the Ice and Fire Tao Stone came from. Lin Moyu guessed it was related to a powerful Great Tao realm expert. The entire Ice and Fire secret realm was likely related to this. Another point is that there is indeed an extraterrestrial god in the Ice and Fire secret realm, one that is sealed inside. This extraterrestrial god isn't dead, just sealed. Seeing this, Lin Moyu had a rough idea of the situation. A Great Tao realm expert and an extraterrestrial god fought, and the Great Tao realm expert used their life to form a seal, trapping the extraterrestrial god. This situation is similar to the Thunder secret realm in the previous Whale Elder. All these facts told Lin Moyu that the Great War back then was indeed brutal. Many Great Tao realm experts sacrificed their lives. There doesn't seem to be any danger in the Ice and Fire secret realm. The Tao sovereigns who entered all returned safely. It seems safe, but hidden dangers remain. Perhaps that special divine pet is hiding in the secret realm, which is what Lin Moyu fears most. After reviewing the information collected by the 160 Tao sovereigns, Lin Moyu found it not very useful. These Tao sovereigns weren't particularly skilled at exploring the secret realm, and 100 days yielded little. For Lin Moyu, the information wasn't very helpful. After pondering for a moment, Lin Moyu said, "Three ancestors, I still want to discuss something with you." The three ancestors understood Lin Moyu's intention and transported him back to his space. Lin Moyu said, "I have a few requests. If you agree, I'll go." The three ancestors didn't immediately agree or refuse but said, "Let's hear them." Lin Moyu said, "First, I want to go in 100 years because my Tao patterns will be fully condensed by then. I can advance to the Tao Sovereign's second realm, giving me a better chance." The three ancestors said, "Okay, I can wait 100 years. The 160 Tao Sovereigns won't have any issues within 1,000 years, so 100 years won't make much difference. My second request is for a Tao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse. It doesn't matter what race." The three ancestors' voice became noticeably lower. "Do you know how valuable a Tao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse is?" Lin Moyu said, "I don't know, but I believe it's not more valuable than the Ice and Fire Tao Stone." The three ancestors repeatedly sent people to the secret realm for the Ice and Fire Tao Stone, indicating its high value. If Lin Moyu were to say, the true name of the Ice and Fire Tao Stone might not be what it seems. Perhaps it could be related to the Fire Tao Stone. A businessman like the three ancestors, even if they provided all the information, might still have some tricks up their sleeve. Having dealt with the three ancestors multiple times, Lin Moyu believed he was capable of such things. Precisely because the three ancestors is a businessman, some things can be negotiated. For a businessman, nothing is off the table. He wanted the Tao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse's insurance. Corpse explosion hadn't been used in a long time due to a lack of good materials. A Tao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse would be a powerful trump card. Finally, the three ancestors spoke again. "All right, I agree, but I have a request too." "Please, three ancestors." Lin Moyu knew the three ancestors would bargain, so he wasn't surprised. The three ancestors said, "If you don't gain anything inside, you must return the corpse to me." Lin Moyu smiled, "No problem." Chapter 2933, 2933. Chapter 2933, Even the residence is not provided. An old and a young fox, bargaining. Both had their own demands, ultimately achieving a win-win situation. In the end, it was Lin Moyu exchanging the Ice and Fire Tao Stone for a Tao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse. The value of the Ice and Fire Tao Stone was certainly above the corpse, but Lin Moyu couldn't ask for too much. What he really wanted was the extraterrestrial god in the origin secret realm. The Tao Sovereign corpse was just a bonus. Lin Moyu extended a finger, proposing a third request. "My third request is that I want to ask you about something." The three ancestors chuckled. "This is the main course, isn't it?" Lin Moyu came here not wanting Lu Lian to know, wanting to talk privately, so there must be a reason, and the reason was here. Lin Moyu smiled. "I went to the bottom of the boundary sea and saw the seal." The three ancestors were startled. "Old Black actually took you there?" Lin Moyu nodded slightly. "I went and saw it." The three ancestors said in a low voice, "Ask away, I'll tell you what I can, but don't expect to know what I can't say." Lin Moyu asked, "Why can't people of the Great Tao Realm come to the origin continent?" "It wasn't always like this." The last part of the sentence was Lin Moyu's own addition. He didn't actually know how it was in the past. Perhaps even in prehistoric times, people of the Great Tao Realm couldn't come to the origin continent. But through his analysis, he felt that in prehistoric times, people of the Great Tao Realm should have been able to come to the origin continent, albeit with some restrictions. The three ancestors sighed, with a touch of reminiscence. "You're right. In the past, people of the Great Tao Realm could come to the origin continent, and they could even live and cultivate here. But not anymore. That great war cost the origin continent dearly. The curse from that time also made it extremely difficult for the Great Tao Realm to come here. If you're asking about this, that's all I can say. You'll have to think about the specifics yourself, whether right or wrong, it's up to you. If you ask further, like why Old Black and I can be here, I won't answer. I can only tell you we have our own matters to attend to." The three ancestors' tone gradually became serious, and he wasn't joking, he was very earnest. Lin Moyu clearly understood the three ancestors' meaning. He wouldn't say more, but what he had said was enough for Lin Moyu to infer the causes and effects. His thoughts weren't wrong. The origin continent and the Great Tao Realm could indeed interact in the past. When he saw the seal, he speculated that perhaps the current isolation of the Great Tao Realm from the origin continent was related to the seal. The seal came from a curse, with the curse preceding the seal. The curse caused many extraterrestrial gods and divine pets to become stagnant, creating an opportunity to seal them. This grand curse was set by a powerful being at the cost of their life, and delving deeper, the root of the curse lay in the Great Tao. Such a vast curse, affecting such a wide range, must have involved the entire origin continent, not just the extraterrestrial gods. Extraterrestrial gods are beings of the Great Tao realm. Thus, the origin continent became a place difficult for the Great Tao realm to reach. As long as the curse remained, it would be hard for people of the Great Tao realm to enter. As for why the king of the Boundary Sea and the three ancestors could enter, there must be a reason, but Lin Moyu couldn't guess what it was. This question only solved a doubt in his mind. Lin Moyu muttered to himself, actually, breaking the curse isn't impossible, maybe I can do it. As he spoke, he watched the three ancestors' expression change, but unfortunately, there was no change, and Lin Moyu couldn't discern anything. The three ancestors said in a low voice, "All right, any other requests?" Lin Moyu shook his head, "Send me back. I'll contact you when I advance to the Tao Sovereign's second realm in 100 years. The three ancestors said, "No need for 100 years. Here is a Tao crystal that can help you quickly condense Tao patterns, shortening the time by 1,000-fold. 100 years shortened by 1,000-fold would only take a few dozen days." The three ancestors took out a colorful crystal, only the size of a baby's fist, yet incredibly beautiful. It seemed to contain all the colors of the world, indescribable in words. But upon closer inspection, all the colors would suddenly disappear, and the crystal would become crystal clear, incredibly pure, without a trace of impurity. Lin Moyu felt the power of the Great Tao from the crystal, similar to the power during a Great Tao reward. Taking the Tao crystal from the three ancestors, I didn't expect there to be such a good thing as a Tao crystal. Are there more? Can you sell me some? The three ancestors' face changed. Get lost, do you think this is an origin crystal? Even back then, this thing was incredibly valuable, let alone now. Lin Moyu chuckled, I understand. The three ancestors waved him off, hurry up and get lost, quickly condense your Tao patterns, then go to the secret realm. The scene blurred, and Lin Moyu found himself back in the courtyard. Lu Lian's gaze carried a hint of curiosity, as if asking what he had discussed with the three ancestors. But Lu Lian wouldn't ask out loud. She said, the three ancestors asked me to arrange a closed cultivation chamber for you. Follow me. All right, not even providing a residence, directly taking him to a secret chamber. Lin Moyu had no objections, holding the Tao crystal, happily heading for closed cultivation. Entering a special chamber, Lu Lian activated the formation inside. The formation also had the effect of enhancing cultivation speed, but its strength varied from person to person. For Lin Moyu, it didn't matter whether it was there or not, he had better resources. Sitting at the center of the formation, he consumed a drop of silver tree sap and then crushed the Tao crystal. The vast power of the Great Tao enveloped him, and Lin Moyu felt as if he were receiving another Great Tao reward. What a wonderful thing! Under the power of the Great Tao, he began condensing Tao patterns. Silver tree sap, for others, could enhance cultivation speed, alter aptitude, strengthen talent, and make one more attuned to the Great Tao with long-term use. But for Lin Moyu, it seemed to have only one effect, enhancing cultivation speed. No other effects had been discovered yet. But just enhancing cultivation speed was enough. Without the silver tree sap and repeated Great Tao rewards, Lin Moyu's Tao pattern condensation wouldn't be so fast. Now, with the silver tree sap's boost, the Tao patterns condensed at an astonishing speed. The Tao crystal's effect wasn't as intense as the Great Tao reward, but it lasted longer. The Tao patterns gradually took shape, continuously perfecting and becoming more complete. Originally estimated to take 100 years, with the Tao crystal's 1,000-fold boost, it only took 36 days. Lin Moyu calculated very accurately 36 days later, just as the power of the Great Tao was about to be exhausted, the 36th Tao pattern successfully condensed. Lin Moyu could now advance to the Tao Sovereign's second realm at any time, beginning a new round of Tao pattern condensation. However, he didn't immediately advance, instead feeling the resonance brought by the Tao patterns. It was a resonance of the Great Tao, a wonderful feeling that allowed the soul to transcend. 36 Tao patterns spread like stars, arranged in a peculiar pattern throughout the soul. Lin Moyu felt that the Tao patterns weren't randomly distributed but had some significance, though he didn't understand it yet. Time to start merging spells. With a thought, the Tao patterns began merging with the spells. Chapter 2934, 2934. Chapter 2934, A Deeper Level of Spell Balance. Currently, there are 12 unassigned Dao patterns. Lin Moyu had already planned how to allocate these 12 Dao patterns. Although 12 Dao patterns seem like a lot, they are not very useful when it comes to practical application. Lin Moyu is a pragmatist, and since he is going to the unknown ice and fire's secret realm, he naturally needs to consider the situation there first. Having already requested a Dao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse from the 3 ancestors, with the materials in hand, he naturally needs to enhance the corpse explosion spell to achieve the best effect. With a thought, 4 of the 12 Dao patterns flew towards corpse explosion. Either do nothing or do it big. 4 Dao patterns are enough to elevate the corpse explosion spell by 1 or 2 levels. From the Dao Sovereign 1st Realm to the 9th Realm is a significant leap, a long journey. Lin Moyu knows that his spells have reached a bottleneck in this major realm. Aside from a few summoning type spells, other spells won't undergo qualitative changes. To continue enhancing spells, he must lead with Dao patterns. The 4 Dao patterns smoothly integrated into the spell star, and the spell star shone brightly, its power rapidly increasing. Moments later, the 4 Dao patterns returned to the soul, back to their original positions. Their appearances had changed somewhat, imbued with the characteristics of the corpse explosion spell. Lin Moyu can now directly use corpse explosion through the Dao patterns, and its effect will be stronger than before. The 36 Dao patterns continuously resonate with each other. The more Dao patterns there are, the stronger the mutual amplification, and the stronger the spells that are integrated. As long as Lin Moyu continues to increase the number of Dao patterns, even without integrating more, the spells previously enhanced by Dao patterns can continue to grow stronger. Just like the 5 summoning spells, as the number of Dao patterns increases, they each become stronger, although the enhancement is not yet very apparent. Lin Moyu checked the information on the corpse explosion spell. Corpse explosion current level detonate a corpse or remains to deal damage equivalent to 200% of the corpse's life force to a targeted enemy. Can attack multiple targets simultaneously. The more targets, the more the damage is diluted. Attacks ignore all obstacles and time limits. Detonation time can be controlled, with a maximum duration of 10 years. The power of corpse explosion has increased from 110% to 200%. When advancing from Heavenly Sovereign to Dao Sovereign, corpse explosion's power only increased from 100% to 110%, a mere tenth. Now, after integrating 4 Dao patterns, its power has directly increased from 110% to 200%. A Dao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse can be used by Lin Moyu to exert power beyond the 9th Realm. Exceeding the 9th Realm means it can harm great Dao Realm beings. This kind of enhancement is quite terrifying. The detonation time has also increased from 1 year to 10 years, allowing for more strategic maneuvers. Although Lin Moyu has never used this feature, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Lin Moyu is very satisfied with the enhancement of corpse explosion. The 4 Dao patterns were worth the cost. With 8 Dao patterns remaining, Lin Moyu already had targets in mind, the 6 great Dao true bodies, 1 Dao pattern each. Through repeated Dao pattern integration, Lin Moyu discovered a pattern. The more Dao patterns integrated into a spell, the stronger the power naturally becomes. But there are also special rules. When a spell is integrated with only 1 Dao pattern, the amplification isn't significant. However, with 2 Dao patterns, the amplification becomes particularly noticeable, greatly increasing. With 3 Dao patterns, the amplification exceeds that of 2, but the increase is much smaller. When 4 Dao patterns are integrated, the amplification becomes significant again. It seems to relate to odd and even numbers. Integrating an even number of Dao patterns optimizes the effect. On a deeper level, the true relationship involves the balance of yin and yang, reality and illusion. Lin Moyu thought of the information he obtained from the God-slaying sect, which reminded him to maintain balance when integrating Dao patterns. Now, he has a deeper understanding of this balance. Everything must adhere to the balance of yin and yang, reality and illusion. This applies not only to multiple spells but also to individual spells. Therefore, the next 6 Dao patterns each have their own focus, corresponding to the 6 great Dao true bodies. Previously, each of the 6 great Dao true bodies had 1 Dao pattern integrated. Now, by integrating a second Dao pattern, he can achieve a balance of yin and yang, greatly increasing power. The 6 Tao patterns fused with the 6 great Tao true bodies, and in an instant the soul vibrated intensely. Within the soul, the Tao patterns swapped positions. The positions of the 36 Tao patterns largely remained unchanged, but there were subtle shifts. The Tao patterns integrated into the same spell were positioned closely, forming independent clusters while maintaining normal connections with other Tao patterns. Of the 36 Tao patterns, 34 are now assigned. With 2 remaining, Lin Moyu decided not to integrate them, keeping them in reserve for flexibility. After completing the Tao pattern integration, Lin Moyu felt a stirring in his heart and muttered, "Time to advance." Communicating with the Great Tao, the power of the Great Tao descended, and Lin Moyu surged to a higher level. The bottleneck of the Tao Sovereign Second Realm seemed non-existent, and Lin Moyu easily stepped into the Tao Sovereign Second Realm. The Tao Sovereign Second Realm, compared to the First Realm, saw a significant increase in power. Lin Moyu could feel his power multiplying. This increase was mainly in soul power, allowing him to mobilize more of the Great Tao's power. More Great Tao power meant enhanced spell power. The difference in soul power between the Tao Sovereign First and Second Realms was more than double. The spells, foundations hadn't changed, but influenced by soul power and Great Tao power, their power doubled. For Lin Moyu, the impact on other spells wasn't significant, but the greatest impact was on summoning spells. Upon reaching the Tao Sovereign Second Realm, the skeleton generals had already reached the Tao Sovereign Third Realm. The strongest skeleton king had reached the Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm. Tao patterns can continue to be condensed once 18 more Tao patterns are condensed. Reaching 54, he will advance to the Tao Sovereign Third Realm. Half a day later, Lin Moyu opened the secret chamber door and walked out. Lu Lian was already waiting outside and immediately asked, "Mr. Lin, when did the 3 ancestors say you could set off?" Lin Moyu said, "As soon as the 3 ancestors have everything ready, I can set off at any time." He was referring to the Tao Sovereign Ninth Realm Corpse. Lu Lian understood, "It's already prepared. In that case, how about setting off in 5 days? Lin Moyu was puzzled, weren't the 3 ancestors in a hurry? Why set it for 5 days later? Lu Lian said, "Even if the 3 ancestors are in a hurry, 5 days won't make a difference. We're heading to the northern continent, which is the territory of the demon race, so we need to make some preparations. In 5 days, Arno. 4 Hurricane warship will set sail for the demon race. You can go to the northern continent with the Hurricane warship. Once you reach the northern continent, someone will be there to meet you." Lin Moyu said, "It seems the 3 ancestors have influence in the demon race's territory as well." Lu Lian didn't answer directly, but Lin Moyu took her silence as confirmation. Chapter 2935, 2935. Chapter 2935. Even the real world can't accommodate it. The Lufeng Merchant Guild has 4 Hurricane warships. The first travels between the east and south continents, carrying human passengers. The second travels between the north and east continents, carrying demon passengers. The third travels between the west and east continents, with a more diverse passenger list, including dragons, insects, the Buddhist clan, and members of the 100 Herbs Alliance. Sometimes, even spirit beasts appear, as some possess intelligence akin to sentient beings. As for the 4th Hurricane warship, it is even more complex. It sails between all 4 continents, carrying a mixed bag of passengers from various races. Typically, passengers change when reaching a new continent. Lin Moyu is set to board the 4th warship, which will depart from the East Continent Mall, head to the North Continent, then cross the entire continent to the west, and finally reach the South Continent before returning to the east. The 4th warship's diverse passenger list makes it relatively safe for Lin Moyu. If he were on the 2nd warship, filled with demon passengers and just himself as the lone human, it would be troublesome. With 10 days until departure, Lin Moyu chose to rest at the residence arranged by Lu Lian. He was busy condensing Tao patterns, understanding formations, cultivating the Great Tao, and reviewing information. In the real world, Lin Moyu's avatar contacted the human emperor, "I'm going to the North Continent. Ask Little Wu if she wants to go home." Although Little Wu never mentioned missing home, Lin Moyu felt he should ask. If she wanted to visit home, this would be a good opportunity to take her along. The human emperor conveyed Lin Moyu's message to Little Wu. Hearing she could go home with Lin Moyu, Little Wu happily agreed. Being away for so long, how could she not miss home? And the chance to return with Lin Moyu was too good to pass up. The human emperor added, Realm Master, the little girl also wants to go, and she's bringing Miss Xiaoyu along. Lin Moyu was amused. Let them come along, it's been a while since I took them out. Whether it's one sheep or a flock, taking a few more doesn't make much difference. Lin Moyu asked Lu Lian to help bring them over, of course not for free. The Lu Feng Merchant Guild can buy and sell anything, including picking people up. The cost varies greatly depending on the cultivation level of the person being picked up. With ample points, Lin Moyu chose the highest tier, and the Lu Feng Merchant Guild sent a Dao Sovereign 7th Realm expert to Yudao City to pick them up. In just 6 days, Little Wu, Xiaoyu, and Xiaowu were safely brought back to the mall. 9 days later, the massive hurricane warship docked outside the mall. The ship's hull looked no different from other hurricane warships, except the number on it changed from 10 to 4. Lin Moyu boarded the warship, where someone was already waiting. Hello, Mr. Lin, I'm Lu Wanai, the steward of the 4th hurricane warship. Lu Wanai was very polite. Despite being at the Dao Sovereign 5th realm, he kept a low profile. Lin Moyu guessed that the 3 ancestors or Lu Lian had informed him of his unusual identity. Lin Moyu smiled, thank you, Senior Wanai. Lu Wanai quickly replied, Mr. Lin, you're too kind. The items you requested are already in your room. He personally led Lin Moyu to his room, room number 1, located at the bow, the best and most spacious room on the ship. Lin Moyu knew that the rooms at the front were equipped with formations. They appeared as rooms but were like small courtyards with gardens inside, very comfortable to live in. Lu Wanai said, because our 4th warship is somewhat special, the passengers are quite complex. Mr. Lin, there are some things to be mindful of while on board. As he spoke, Lu Wanai glanced at Little Wu and the others behind Lin Moyu. Ladies, you can stay in the room or in Mr. Lin's rule world, but try not to go out. Although our guild will do our best to ensure your safety, some things happen too suddenly for us to respond in time. Lin Moyu understood this reasoning. If a Dao Sovereign suddenly acted, even the Lu Feng Merchant Guild might not be able to intervene in time. If something happened, punishing the perpetrator afterward wouldn't help. Lin Moyu smiled, don't worry, Senior Wanai, we know what to do. Lu Wanai explained the journey to Lin Moyu. The 4th warship was indeed complex, carrying not only humans but also demons and members of the 100 Herbs Alliance. As they passed through various cities, dragons, insects, and even the Buddhist clan might board. To cross the boundary sea, apart from the Sea Tribe, the Lu Feng Merchant Guild's hurricane warship is the safest mode of transport. Especially for the Buddhist clan, the boundary sea is their forbidden zone, and they have no choice but to use the Lu Feng Merchant Guild's ships. Xiaowu and the others looked around with curiosity. Last time Lin Moyu took a hurricane warship, he didn't let Xiaoyu and Xiaowu out. Back then, his abilities were limited, and if anything went wrong, it would be hard to handle. But this time, the situation was different. Even if Xiaowu caused trouble, he could handle it. Lin Moyu asked, will the ship sell goods this time? Lu Wanai said, the 4th warship is different from the other 3. It will sell goods, but all items are in the trading area on the 3rd and 4th floors, with fixed prices. If Mr. Lin is interested, you can take a look. Naturally, there was a trading area, it's the essence of the Lu Feng Merchant Guild, impossible to lack. However, the 4th warship doesn't have auctions, everything is available for direct purchase, depending on whether you can accept the price. Lin Moyu imagined that items with fixed prices wouldn't be rare, so he wasn't very interested. Ordinary items didn't appeal to him, but Xiaowu and the others could have fun and buy what they wanted. During the conversation, the group arrived at room No. 1. Lu Wanai personally handed Lin Moyu the token to open the door, allowing him to open it himself. As the door opened, a rich source of origin power greeted them. Lin Moyu once again saw the formation capable of converting various origin powers. With his current formation skills, he could discern more details than before. Lin Moyu didn't pay much attention to it and entered the room. Inside was a courtyard with ample space, but lying across it was a corpse. The corpse lay there without any embellishment. It wasn't a human corpse but a demon corpse, likely belonging to the green wolf lineage of the demon race. A Dao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse, undecayed and uncorrupted, was casually placed there. Lin Moyu chuckled, just left like this, not even placed nicely. Lu Wanai apologized, it's not that we didn't want to, but moving a Dao Sovereign 9th Realm corpse isn't easy. It can't be stored in a storage ring, and even the rule world can't accommodate it. Chapter 2936, 2936. Chapter 2936. As long as the three ancestors are here, the Lufeng Merchant Guild will not fall. At the Dao Sovereign Ninth Realm, the power is immense, and even in death, it's not easy to touch. Even someone as strong as Lu Wanai, at the Dao Sovereign Fifth Realm, finds it difficult to approach. This is because, after reaching the Dao Sovereign Seventh Realm, a Dao light appears around the body. This Dao light is somewhat similar to the protective divine light of extraterrestrial gods. Although invisible, it truly exists. The Dao light protects the Dao Sovereign within a certain range, and even after death, it only weakens slightly but does not disappear. Because of the presence of Dao light, except for a few special treasures, ordinary storage treasures cannot store the body. Also, because the Dao Sovereign Ninth Realm is so powerful, even in death, it continuously releases strong power, making it impossible for an ordinary Dao Sovereign's rule world to accommodate it. Listening to Lu Wanai's explanation, Lin Moyu couldn't help but smile. The three ancestors did this on purpose, deliberately leaving it in the courtyard to annoy him. That three ancestors really doesn't want to suffer any losses. Lin Moyu thought to himself, and with a wave of his hand, the Dao Sovereign Ninth Realm corpse disappeared on the spot. Storage treasures may not work, but Lin Moyu's storage space does. So far, Lin Moyu hasn't found anything that his storage space can't hold. Xiaowu and the others didn't understand these things and weren't surprised by the scene. Only Lu Wanai showed a look of shock. He remembered that it took a Dao Sovereign Seventh Realm elder from the Lu family to carry the corpse over, and it wasn't easy. After placing it here, he couldn't do anything with the corpse. But Lin Moyu just waved his hand and took the corpse away. Lu Wanai knew Lin Moyu's identity was unusual, someone who could speak directly with the three ancestors, but he didn't expect his methods to be so advanced. Although only at the Dao Sovereign Second Realm, Lu Wanai felt that if they really fought, he wouldn't be Lin Moyu's match. His respect for Lin Moyu increased even more. Lu Wanai said in a low voice, "I'll take my leave now. If Mr. Lin needs anything, feel free to ask me." Lin Moyu nodded, "Go ahead, I'll find you if I need anything." After Lu Wanai left, Lin Moyu told Xiaowu and the others, "There are many people on this ship, and it's quite mixed. If you three go out to play, don't get separated, and contact me if anything happens. Especially you, don't cause trouble and stay safe." The last sentence was directed at Xiaowu. Xiaoyu and Xiaowu were sensible, so Lin Moyu wasn't too worried. Only Xiaowu, this little guy, once excited, was hard to stop. However, Lin Moyu wasn't too worried. Xiaowu was a Dao Sovereign, not without some power. Xiaoyu had a protective treasure from the Heavenly Thunder Taoist, so even a Dao Sovereign couldn't harm her. Xiaoyu, being obedient, went to the tea table in the courtyard, took out the tea set, and made tea for Lin Moyu. Whenever Lin Moyu was present, this young disciple would transform into an excellent tea servant. For her, taking good care of her master was the top priority, followed by cultivation. Lin Moyu drank tea, his gaze on the formation above the courtyard. This formation was identical to the one on the No. 1 Hurricane warship, capable of converting the great Daos of the moon and sun into attribute-less great Dao power. At that time, he thought that if he could master such a formation, he could continuously absorb origin power from the two great origins of the moon and sun. Apart from not being able to suppress fortune, it wasn't much different from having an origin spirit vein. At that time, he had mastered this formation about 70 to 80%, but later, in actual experiments, he repeatedly hit obstacles. This formation wasn't as simple as he thought. Now seeing this formation for the second time, having advanced from Heavenly Sovereign to Dao Sovereign, his understanding of formations far surpassed before. He could see more from the formation. The formation wasn't that simple, there were many details he hadn't understood before. He had only memorized it back then, now realizing there were too many details he hadn't remembered clearly. Now, looking at it again, Lin Moyu realized this formation might be of a very high level, at least a 9th level formation. Among the formations Lin Moyu had seen, the one sealing the bottom of the boundary sea was second. Lin Moyu focused part of his mind on studying this formation. Multitasking had become a habit, and Lin Moyu was almost always in this state. The 4th Hurricane warship stayed in the mall for a day before slowly setting off, following the predetermined route. By now, there were many people on the ship, from various races. Xiaowu and the others couldn't sit still and went to explore the ship. The ship was large enough for the three of them to play for days. On his second time on the hurricane warship, Lin Moyu felt differently, more deeply appreciating its power. Although the Lufeng Merchant Guild used it to make money, its power was undeniable. In Lin Moyu's perception, the hurricane warship was not weaker than any top Dao sovereign of the Ninth Realm. It was because of the hurricane warship's power that Lin Moyu once thought the Lufeng Merchant Guild rose to prominence with it. Now he finally understood that wasn't the case. The true core of the Lufeng Merchant Guild was the three ancestors. The 4 hurricane warships were likely brought by the 3 ancestors. The 3 ancestors' identity was extraordinary. As long as he was around, the Lufeng Merchant Guild's status was unshakable. The hurricane warship flew over multiple cities, stopping repeatedly until it was full of passengers. On the 15th day after Lin Moyu boarded, the hurricane warship left the East Continent, heading towards the North Continent. After entering the Boundary Sea, the hurricane warship accelerated, reaching the North Continent in 60 days. As for Lin Moyu's destination, even he didn't know. Once in the North Continent, someone from the Lufeng Merchant Guild would naturally come to pick him up. Lin Moyu wasn't in a hurry, spending his days studying formations and condensing Dao patterns, feeling very fulfilled. Since boarding the ship, he hadn't left his room. Xiaowu and the others had explored the ship inside and out, seeing all the different races. Fortunately, the Lufeng Merchant Guild had rules prohibiting fighting on the ship, so the 3 were always safe. When they returned, they would tell Lin Moyu everything they saw. The ship had people from various races, including dragons and insects. Even though the 2 races were arch-enemies, they restrained themselves on the Lufeng Merchant Guild's ship, not fighting even when they met. This showed the Lufeng Merchant Guild's influence, making even the most unruly races give face. The hurricane warship's trading area opened after entering the Boundary Sea, becoming Xiaowu and the others' favorite place. They occasionally bought things to bring back, and Lin Moyu never objected, whether useful or not, as long as they liked it. Halfway through the journey, the first 50 days were uneventful. Until the 56th day, when Xiaowu and the others returned to the courtyard, catching Lin Moyu's attention. Lin Moyu noticed they all had marks placed on them. The marks were hidden, but they didn't escape Lin Moyu's perception. Lin Moyu immediately recognized them as marks belonging to the Buddhist clan. Did you encounter anyone from the Buddhist clan? Chapter 2937, 2937. Chapter 2937, Just Chatting with Them. The people of the Buddhist clan planted marks on Xiaowu and the others, not knowing what they intended to do. On the hurricane warship, normally no one would make a move. Once someone does, even if successful, they would be thrown off by the Lufeng Merchant Guild, or even directly killed. This rule is the bottom line of the Lufeng Merchant Guild and will not be broken. Therefore, planting a mark is already the most they can do. Lin Moyu had dealings with the Buddhist clan, whether in the Great World or the Origin Continent, and the Buddhist clan left him with a very bad impression. Xiaoyu thought for a moment, it seems I haven't seen anyone from the Buddhist clan. Xiaowu also shook her head, haven't seen them. Xiaowu's answer was the same as theirs. Lin Moyu thought to himself, it seems the people of the Buddhist clan have hidden their tracks. Lin Moyu checked the 3 of them, and their marks were exactly the same, indicating it was done by the same person. Xiaoyu asked, Master, did something happen? Lin Moyu smiled, a malicious guy has set his eyes on you, but don't worry, the master will explain. Xiaoyu had absolute trust in Lin Moyu, and whatever he said, she would do. Lin Moyu left the room to find Lu Wanai. This matter required Lu Wanai's cooperation. Lu Wanai had received Lin Moyu's message and was waiting early. Since Lin Moyu easily collected the corpse of a Dao sovereign of the Ninth Realm, Lu Wanai's attitude towards Lin Moyu had changed significantly, becoming extremely polite. Over time, Lu Wanai would sometimes come over to chat and have tea with Lin Moyu. Their relationship unknowingly became familiar. Lu Wanai, in the Lufeng Merchant Guild, belonged to the middle level, not very high in status, and didn't know many things, so he didn't know Lin Moyu. If a high-level Dao sovereign of the 7th realm came, they might know who Lin Moyu was. Lu Wanai had prepared tea early. Mr. Lin, is there something you need from me? This was the first time Lin Moyu had come to him, so Lu Wanai knew there must be something. Lin Moyu got straight to the point, my people have been marked. Lu Wanai's expression changed slightly, marking someone could be a small or big matter. On a small scale, it was just leaving a mark, which was nothing. On a large scale, it was equivalent to declaring war, just waiting for the right opportunity to act. No wonder Lin Moyu came to him. It seemed Lin Moyu was already displeased. Lu Wanai asked, do you know who did it? Lin Moyu said, I don't know exactly who, just that it's someone from the Buddhist clan, so I came to ask how many Buddhist people are on the ship. There are some Buddhist people in East Continent, but not many. Those who board this warship are even fewer. Lu Wanai thought, there are 4 people. Lin Moyu said, I want to know their cultivation realms. Can you provide that information? Lu Wanai was clearly in a dilemma. Providing information about other passengers was against the rules. Of course, rules are made by people and aren't completely unbreakable. If it were someone else, Lu Wanai would have refused outright. But now that Lin Moyu requested it, he couldn't refuse. Lin Moyu sat down and took a sip of tea. Senior Lu, I only need 3 pieces of information: cultivation, realm, and room number. From Lin Moyu's words, Lu Wanai sensed something unusual and couldn't help but ask, Mr. Lin, what do you intend to do? Lin Moyu shook his head, nothing much, just to chat with them and ask why. Lu Wanai clearly didn't believe Lin Moyu's words. How could it be just a chat? Lu Wanai tentatively asked, Mr. Lin, you won't kill anyone, will you? Lin Moyu smiled without directly answering and continued to ask, Senior Lu, is the information I want acceptable? This time, his tone changed slightly, no longer as polite as before. Lu Wanai could feel that Lin Moyu was indeed a bit angry. He could refuse, but doing so would sever ties with Lin Moyu. Faintly, Lu Wanai felt he shouldn't do that. After some thought, he finally made a decision. All right. He pointed, and the ship's formation activated, projecting information. The data of several Buddhist passengers appeared in the projection. Room 21, 4-wheel ancient Buddha, named Sunlight Mountain Buddha. Room 28, 4-wheel ancient Buddha, named Sunset Twilight Buddha. Room 89, 3-wheel ancient Buddha, named Dawn Rising East Buddha. Room 121, 2-wheel ancient Buddha, named East Facing Golden Sun Buddha. Seeing the information of the 4 ancient Buddhas, Lin Moyu felt reassured. Thank you, Senior Lu, I owe you one. Lu Wanai's eyes showed a hint of determination. Since he had already given the information, he decided to go all the way. He said, these 4 ancient Buddhas are actually from the same Buddhist Holy Land, called the Great Sun Holy Land. The Great Sun Holy Land, Lin Moyu immediately recalled information about it. The Buddhist clan is located in the Western continent, with many factions. Even within the Buddhist clan, like the human clan, there are many sects and holy lands. The difference is that in the Buddhist clan, the strongest is called a great sect, while the weaker ones are called holy lands. Generally, a place with a 7-wheel ancient Buddha is called a holy land. To become a great sect, there must be a 9-wheel ancient Buddha. In the Buddhist clan, there are only 3 great sects, but there are more than 10 holy lands. The Great Sun Holy Land has 2 7-wheel ancient Buddhas, and among the many Buddhist holy lands, it is considered ordinary. Moreover, the 2 7-wheel ancient Buddhas rarely appear, leaving matters to weaker disciples. This time, 4 ancient Buddhas from the Great Sun Holy Land came out, including 2 4-wheel ancient Buddhas, indicating something significant. Lin Moyu didn't want to speculate about their purpose and decided to ask later. Lin Moyu slowly stood up. Thank you, Senior Lu, I will take my leave. Lu Wanai felt a movement in his heart. Since he had already given the information, he might as well go all the way. He said to Lin Moyu, Mr. Lin, I have added a function to your token, allowing you to open several more room doors. Lin Moyu understood Lu Wanai's meaning and smiled slightly. Thank you. With that, he turned and left. For some reason, Lu Wanai felt a sense of determination from Lin Moyu. I hope my choice is right. Lu Wanai murmured softly, unsure if his decision was right or wrong. He had indeed violated the guild's rules, but it depended on whether anyone would investigate afterward. If no one investigated, it would be as if nothing had happened. Lin Moyu first went to room 121, where the 2-wheel ancient Buddha, east-facing Golden Sun Buddha, resided. Lin Moyu activated the formation with his token and walked in openly. A mere 2-wheel ancient Buddha didn't require much caution from him. Room 121, though not small, was just an ordinary room without a courtyard. Lin Moyu scanned the room, finding no one inside. Not here. Well, let's prepare first. Lin Moyu took out a jade plaque and began refining an array disc. Chapter 2938, 2938. Chapter 2938, Losing Everything Due to Bad Luck. The source crystals flew to designated positions, and runes automatically emerged. The same formation was displayed in 2 different ways. The entire process was extremely smooth, without a trace of fireworks. In less than 2 minutes, a not-so-complex formation was completed. Then, the soul fire burned fiercely, refining the formation and integrating it into a pre-prepared jade token. The jade token quickly became an array disk. This formation was a 5th-tier formation with a very simple effect: isolation. It isolated the inside from the outside, preventing anyone outside the formation from detecting what was happening inside. After achieving a fusion of device and symbol, the effect of the 5th-tier formation was comparable to a 6th-tier formation, making it difficult for even a Dao sovereign to detect without breaking the formation. Lin Moyu casually threw the array disk on the ground and activated the formation. The formation silently covered the entire room, isolating it from the outside world. At the same time, Lu Wanai received a warning from the warship's formation. The formation on the entire warship was a single entity, and the formation Lin Moyu set up in the room triggered a warning from the warship's formation. When Lu Wanai saw the room number, he knew it was definitely Lin Moyu's doing and decisively suppressed the alarm. At this point, he had no choice but to hope Lin Moyu wouldn't act recklessly. After all, Lin Moyu's identity was not ordinary, and even if he did commit a crime, he couldn't be killed. Lu Wanai drank tea cup after cup, his expression slightly tense. Lin Moyu was much more relaxed than Lu Wanai. He was also drinking tea, waiting for the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha to return. After about half an hour, the door opened, and the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha walked in. Lin Moyu couldn't help but laugh when he saw him. This east-facing Golden Sun Buddha was wearing a robe that concealed his entire aura. No wonder Xiao Wu and the others hadn't noticed him as a member of the Buddhist clan. As soon as the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha entered the room, he saw Lin Moyu and exclaimed in shock, "Who are you?" Lin Moyu chuckled and snapped his fingers, causing the Buddhist lich to appear behind him. Spell. Conversion. Buddhist chants echoed, sweeping out. The east-facing Golden Sun Buddha instantly fell into a daze. Although he was also a member of the Buddhist clan, the faith of each member differed. Regardless, the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha's faith could not possibly be in the Buddhist lich. However, he couldn't resist the power of conversion, and no matter how he struggled, he couldn't move. Lin Moyu casually walked up to him and grabbed his neck. Blood roared, and the power of the Great Tao surged from his palm. Crack! The east-facing Golden Sun Buddha's neck broke. The power of the Great Tao then surged into his soul world, shattering his soul with a bang. Without giving him a chance to convert, Lin Moyu directly killed him. The east-facing Golden Sun Buddha, a dignified 2-wheel ancient Buddha with a high status in the Great Sun Holy Land, died so easily, not even knowing why. His body fell to the ground, and Lin Moyu casually pointed out a cluster of undead flames. In the undead flames, the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha was resurrected, kneeling respectfully before Lin Moyu as a revenant. Lin Moyu removed the formation, and the entire process of killing him took less than a minute. In fact, Lin Moyu could have activated the formation when the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha entered. The reason he activated the formation early was to see Lu Wanai's reaction. He knew very well that his formation would definitely trigger an alarm, and Lu Wanai would definitely know. Lu Wanai's reaction satisfied him. From recent interactions and this incident, he analyzed Lu Wanai's character. He was the kind of person who, once he made a decision, would see it through to the end, a ruthless person. Such people could thrive anywhere. Lin Moyu noted this favor and would repay it if given the chance. Lin Moyu removed the formation, and Lu Wanai couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Through the warship's formation, he didn't sense anything unusual. No one died. If someone had died, the warship's formation would have sensed it. Could it be that Mr. Lin really just wanted to chat with them? Impossible, my intuition can't be wrong. Mr. Lin truly had murderous intent. Did he suddenly change his mind? Lu Wanai was puzzled and couldn't figure it out. Lin Moyu leisurely drank tea and said to the kneeling east-facing Golden Sun Buddha, "Do you know about the marks planted on the 3 little girls today?" The east-facing Golden Sun Buddha immediately replied, "I know." Lin Moyu asked, "Tell me why." As a revenant, the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha had nothing to hide and immediately answered truthfully, "Second senior brother said one of the 3 little girls is a spirit beast, and not an ordinary one." Lin Moyu was slightly surprised. "Who is your second senior brother?" The east-facing Golden Sun Buddha immediately said, "Second senior brother is called Sunset Twilight Buddha." Lin Moyu asked, how did he know? What does he want to do with the marks? Tell me everything. The east-facing Golden Sun Buddha recounted the events of the day. As members of the Buddhist clan, they usually stayed in their respective rooms and rarely went out. They would occasionally gather to discuss Buddhism and share cultivation insights. Today, the Sunset Twilight Buddha went out and returned with excitement, saying he discovered a spirit beast disguised as a human. Initially, they didn't think much of it. However, the Sunset Twilight Buddha told them that the spirit beast was not simple. He had a talent, a pupil technique that could see the true form of spirit beasts. He secretly used the pupil technique and discovered that Xiao Wu was actually a soul spirit ancestor beast. The soul spirit ancestor beast is a spirit beast that all cultivators desire. However, he didn't act on the spot, as the warship's environment didn't allow it. He left marks on Xiao Wu and the others and returned to share his discovery. They were discussing how to act. There are countless secret techniques and talents in the world, and such talents are not uncommon. Unfortunately, their luck was bad, and they happened to encounter Lin Moyu, resulting in their demise. Lin Moyu also asked where they were going, and the answer surprised him. He initially thought they were returning to the Buddhist territory in the western continent, but they were actually heading to the northern continent. This time, they came out to find suitable spirit beasts to capture as Buddhist beasts. They had means to convert spirit beasts. However, they didn't find suitable spirit beasts in the eastern continent, so they had to look in the northern continent. Originally, the eastern continent had the most spirit beasts, but for some reason, there were suddenly fewer spirit beasts. Lin Moyu also felt that spirit beasts in the eastern continent had decreased, especially powerful ones. He speculated it might be related to Antares, who became the king of the Eastern Spirit Empire and was plotting something. Lin Moyu whispered, let's go find your third senior brother. Third senior brother, Dawn Rising East Buddha, lived in room 89, and Lin Moyu didn't take him seriously. The moment Lin Moyu left the room, Lu Wanai already knew. He saw in the projection that someone was following Lin Moyu, clearly the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha. Lu Wanai was very puzzled, why is the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha following Mr. Lin? Chapter 2939, 2939. Chapter 2939, if you offend him, there will definitely be no good end. Under the watchful eyes of Lu Wanai, Lin Moyu led the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha into room 89. The next second, an alarm sounded as Lin Moyu used the array disc to shield the room again. Lu Wanai suppressed the alarm once more, thinking he would have to wait a while, but the alarm suddenly stopped. In less than 2 minutes, Lin Moyu reappeared. This time, he was followed by two people, the east-facing Golden Sun Buddha and the Dawn Rising East Buddha. No way. Lu Wanai's eyes widened. He wasn't stupid, and a suspicion arose in his mind. He thought that Lin Moyu had controlled these two ancient Buddhas. If that was true, Lin Moyu was far more terrifying than imagined. The frightening part wasn't Lin Moyu's methods, but the time it took. Lin Moyu entered the room and came out in only 2 minutes. In that time, he easily controlled a 3-wheel ancient Buddha, indicating that Lin Moyu had overwhelming strength. Lin Moyu was clearly only a Dao sovereign of the second realm, yet he could easily overpower a 3-wheel ancient Buddha, showing that Lin Moyu was an incredibly formidable genius, capable of fighting beyond his realm. From Lu Wanai's understanding of the Buddhist clan, they were very tricky, with various secret methods that were hard to guard against. But Lin Moyu could handle them so easily, indicating his terrifying strength. He watched Lin Moyu walk towards room 28, and Lu Wanai couldn't help but feel nervous. That was a 4-wheel ancient Buddha, not on the same level as a 3-wheel ancient Buddha. A 4-wheel ancient Buddha, like a Dao sovereign, had the Great Buddha Golden Body. The Great Buddha Golden Body and the human race's Great Dao Golden Body were essentially the same thing. An ancient Buddha with a Great Buddha Golden Body was not easy to deal with. Mr. Lin, please don't cause a big commotion, or it will be hard for me to explain. Lu Wanai was very nervous at this point. If things got out of hand, it would be difficult for him to explain, and the reputation of the Lu Feng Merchant Guild would be tarnished because of him. In room 28, the Sunset Twilight Buddha was chanting Buddhist scriptures, feeling uneasy as if something was about to happen. But on the Hurricane warship, he couldn't think of what could happen. No one dared to make a move on the Lu Feng Merchant Guild's Hurricane warship. The last recorded incident of someone making a move was probably 1,000 years ago, and those who did either died or were crippled. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. The knocking resonated with his heartbeat, pushing his unease to the extreme. The Sunset Twilight Buddha whispered, "Who is it?" A familiar voice sounded from outside the door, "Second Senior Brother, it's us." The voices were those of the Dawn Rising East Buddha and the East-facing Golden Sun Buddha. Hearing his junior brother's voices, the Sunset Twilight Buddha lowered his guard, activated the formation, and opened the door. The Dawn Rising East Buddha and the East-facing Golden Sun Buddha entered one after the other, and the Sunset Twilight Buddha suddenly saw that behind them was a person, a human of the Tao Sovereign Second Realm. "Who are you?" The Sunset Twilight Buddha's vigilance rose again. Lin Moyu smiled slightly and activated the array disc. In an instant, the entire room was enveloped by the formation. The Sunset Twilight Buddha's face changed drastically, and the Great Buddha Golden Body erupted. His intuition told him there was danger, a fatal danger. At that moment, a burst of Buddhist sound entered his ears, and his consciousness stalled for just 0.1 seconds before he regained clarity. After all, he was a four-wheel ancient Buddha, and the Buddhist Lish's ability could only affect him for a moment. But that was enough. When he regained clarity, he suddenly found his neck was already being grasped by someone. In front of him, this human Tao Sovereign had transformed into a giant, sneering coldly at him. Great Tao True Body. The Sunset Twilight Buddha couldn't believe it. How could a person of the Tao Sovereign Second Realm use the Great Tao True Body? And his Great Tao True Body was incredibly powerful. Lin Moyu activated the Great Tao True Body, the true body of the five Great Taos. His body flowed with golden flames, and his physical strength and defensive power were elevated to the extreme. Lin Moyu single-handedly grasped the Sunset Twilight Buddha's neck. "You have a lot of nerve, daring to mark my people. Since that's the case, your ancient Buddha life ends here." The Sunset Twilight Buddha struggled desperately, but found it was useless. He unleashed all his power but couldn't break free from Lin Moyu's grasp. His hands struck Lin Moyu with Buddhist seals, but Lin Moyu remained unmoved, absorbing all the attacks without a ripple. Lin Moyu's grip tightened, and the Sunset Twilight Buddha felt his world darkening. Terrifying power surged from Lin Moyu's hand into his soul, threatening both body and soul with destruction. "Friend, spare me." He used his last bit of strength to beg Lin Moyu for mercy. Crack. The neck broke, and the dignified four-wheel ancient Buddha was strangled to death by Lin Moyu's single hand, dying in utter humiliation. Lin Moyu released a ball of flame and retracted the Great Tao True Body. The true body of the Power Tao, combined with his Tao Sovereign Fourth Realm's physical strength, was indeed useful, especially in such a confined environment, making it a lethal weapon. In the flames, the Sunset Twilight Buddha knelt respectfully before Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu clapped his hands. "Tell me about your senior brother, the Sunlight Mountain Buddha. How strong is he, and what life-saving secret techniques or treasures does he have?" Lin Moyu had asked the same question to both the Dawn Rising East Buddha and the East-facing Golden Sun Buddha. From the Sunset Twilight Buddha, Lin Moyu learned about the Sunlight Mountain Buddha's related information and began planning how to kill him. The Sunlight Mountain Buddha's strength was far superior to the three of them. It seemed that killing him without any commotion wouldn't be easy. The key was that the Sunlight Mountain Buddha had a treasure connected to another treasure held by a six-wheel ancient Buddha. This ancient Buddha was currently in the northern continent, and they were going there to meet him. If the Sunlight Mountain Buddha died, the other party would know. Strong and with treasures, it sounded tricky. If he let him go because of this, that was clearly not an option. The matter had reached this point, and letting him go was impossible. Lin Moyu never considered that he was just thinking about how to kill him. After some thought, Lin Moyu had an idea. He had two ways to kill him silently, and since he was the last one, leaving a corpse didn't matter. The Bone Hell or the Giant Sword Tao Sovereign and Zhao Dongshang could both be chosen. After making up his mind, Lin Moyu headed towards room 21. Although Lu Wanai didn't know how Lin Moyu managed to control the three, when Lin Moyu came out of room 28, Lu Wanai's heart skipped a beat for 2 seconds. A chill ran down his spine as he deeply felt Lin Moyu's terrifying nature. The alarm from the formation had also lasted only 2 minutes, meaning Lin Moyu ended the fight and controlled the Sunset Twilight Buddha in that time. He didn't know how Lin Moyu did it, and the more he didn't know, the more terrifying Lin Moyu seemed. Lu Wanai murmured to himself, no wonder the three ancestors took notice of him. This Mr. Lin is powerful and decisive. Anyone who provokes him will have no good end. It seems my previous decision was correct. In his mind, Lin Moyu was already marked as someone not to be provoked. Chapter 2940, 2940. Chapter 2940, Touch my people, and you must bear the consequences. Inside room 21, the four-wheel ancient Buddha, Sunlight Mountain Buddha, was surrounded by a bone hell. Outside the bone hell, there was also a formation set up by Lin Moyu to ensure that no aura would leak outside the room. Although he knew from previous encounters that Lu Wanai would not intervene and might even help him, Lin Moyu still wanted to give Lu Wanai enough respect. Sunlight Mountain Buddha sat cross-legged in the bone hell, chanting Buddhist scriptures with a dignified demeanor. Behind him, four luminous halos shone brightly, like radiant suns illuminating all directions. The light was so substantial that the hellish spirits couldn't approach. However, the hellish spirits devoured everything, even light, and they continued to consume the light, gradually approaching Sunlight Mountain Buddha. Amida Buddha. With a Buddhist chant, the four halos behind Sunlight Mountain Buddha suddenly shattered, and a mountain slowly rose, with a blazing sun burning fiercely behind it. Lin Moyu was prepared. The eye of hell opened, and a soul shock erupted. Sunlight Mountain Buddha groaned, and the blazing sun behind the mountain twisted, nearly collapsing. But being a four-wheel ancient Buddha, he managed to withstand the soul shock. The hellish spirits still couldn't approach Sunlight Mountain Buddha, as his Buddhist powers had strong defensive capabilities. Lin Moyu knew that dragging this out was not a solution, as prolonged delays could lead to unforeseen complications. The true form of the power Great Tao erupted, and Lin Moyu joined the battle, charging into the bone hell with terrifying force, breaking through Sunlight Mountain Buddha's defenses and crashing into him. Sunlight Mountain Buddha was knocked back by Lin Moyu's immense power, but Lin Moyu was also sent flying. Sunlight Mountain Buddha's defenses were indeed formidable, much stronger than those of the Sunset Twilight Buddha, another four-wheel ancient Buddha. Lin Moyu could easily kill Sunset Twilight Buddha, but he struggled to break Sunlight Mountain Buddha's defenses. This was Sunlight Mountain Buddha's Buddhist power, known as the Immovable Mountain. However, Lin Moyu had already devised a countermeasure. Although he was repelled, Sunlight Mountain Buddha was also knocked back. Lin Moyu's true form of the power Great Tao was equally strong. Lin Moyu halted his retreat and charged again, with even greater force than before. Behind Sunlight Mountain Buddha, the mountain rose, and the sun shone brightly. He transformed into a mountain, unmoving. All the power focused on a single point exploded, and both Lin Moyu and Sunlight Mountain Buddha were sent flying again. Sunlight Mountain Buddha's defenses remained intact, showing no signs of collapse. Suddenly, a shadow loomed overhead as the massive head of the Nether Black Dragon emerged from the Nether Black Pool, opening its mouth wide to bite Sunlight Mountain Buddha. Lin Moyu's two collisions had pushed Sunlight Mountain Buddha toward the Nether Black Pool. At the last moment, the Nether Black Dragon struck, biting Sunlight Mountain Buddha. Crack! A tooth-aching sound followed by a shattering noise like glass breaking was heard. The blazing sun collapsed on the spot, and countless cracks appeared on the mountain. For the first time, Sunlight Mountain Buddha showed panic. He stopped chanting and looked at Lin Moyu. "My human friend, we are strangers. Why do you seek to kill me?" Lin Moyu smiled. "You'll know once you're dead." The other shore flower swayed, and under the purple light, Sunlight Mountain Buddha felt powerless, his strength suddenly weakened by several levels, as if his realm had dropped. Sunlight Mountain Buddha was even more panicked, struggling to maintain his defense. "Human friend, if you kill me, it will be tantamount to declaring war on the Buddhist clan. Think carefully about the consequences." Lin Moyu said, "If not you, then who will go to hell?" Once he decided to act, it meant his killing intent was firm, and he couldn't stop. As for declaring war on the Buddhist clan, that was just Sunlight Mountain Buddha's words. He didn't have the authority to represent the entire Buddhist clan. Moreover, even if war were declared, would the human clan be afraid? Not to mention Lin Moyu himself wasn't afraid. Even if a nine-wheel ancient Buddha came, with a Tao sovereign of the ninth realm's corpse in his hands, he could blow up one if one came, and blow up two if two came. The Nether Black Dragon's power grew stronger, and Sunlight Mountain Buddha's transformed mountain finally couldn't withstand it and collapsed. Sunlight Mountain Buddha took out a demon-subduing pestle, which enlarged and propped open the Nether Black Dragon's mouth, as Sunlight Mountain Buddha attempted to escape. At this moment, the Nether Black Pool suddenly spun rapidly, releasing a suction force that pulled Sunlight Mountain Buddha back, along with the demon-subduing pestle. A scream rang out as the demon-subduing pestle was gone, and the Nether Black Dragon's mouth snapped shut, piercing Sunlight Mountain Buddha with countless sharp teeth. Sunlight Mountain Buddha wasn't dead yet. He glared angrily and chanted again, "I am the Great Sun, illuminating the world. His entire body erupted in golden light, displaying the great Buddha golden body. The golden light, like swords, shattered several of the nether black dragon's sharp teeth. However, the nether black dragon didn't open its mouth but bit down even harder, and the two sides began to struggle. Compared to Sunset Twilight Buddha, Sunlight Mountain Buddha was indeed much harder to kill. Lin Moyu's mind stirred, and the giant sword Tao Sovereign appeared beside him, transforming into a sharp sword and charging into the bone hell. Originally, Lin Moyu didn't want to deploy the giant sword Tao Sovereign, as the power of a Tao Sovereign of the sixth realm was too strong, and its influence too vast for his formation to conceal. But now, he had no choice. Seeing the giant sword Tao Sovereign, Sunlight Mountain Buddha fell into despair, knowing he couldn't escape. His gaze turned fierce, and terrifying power erupted from within him. He's going to self-destruct. Lin Moyu was shocked. A four-wheel ancient Buddha's self-destruction was no joke, and even with the bone hell in his formation, it couldn't withstand such an explosion. The giant sword Tao Sovereign transformed into the true form of the great Tao, becoming a sharp sword that stabbed forward. Zhao Dongsheng appeared beside him, the true form of the great Tao transforming into a giant python. The python's body grew longer, coiling around the entire bone hell. Boom! The giant sword Tao Sovereign was still a step too slow. Sunlight Mountain Buddha, with a resolute expression, self-destructed. The terrifying power exploded, and the nether black dragon, the first to bear the brunt, was instantly blown to pieces. Then, the entire bone hell was torn apart. The giant sword Tao Sovereign charged into the explosion's center, its sword light shattering, extinguishing the explosive power. But this was like a drop in the ocean. The massive self-destructive force impacted Zhao Dongsheng's transformed python body. The python groaned and trembled but remained unmoving, wrapping all the self-destructive power and preventing it from leaking. At this moment, a light ignored space and time, flying out from the explosion's center, circling the room before disappearing. Lin Moyu knew this was Sunlight Mountain Buddha's treasure. After Sunlight Mountain Buddha's death, this treasure would record everything around it. Meanwhile, another treasure would know who killed him. However, Lin Moyu didn't care. Touch my people, and you must bear the consequences. Rather than letting you make the first move, I'd rather strike first and eliminate the danger in its cradle.